When a broke single father locked eyes with a billionaire CEO in a grocery store aisle, neither knew they were seconds away from a deal that would change everything. She needed a fake boyfriend to save her empire. He needed a miracle to save his daughter's future. One whispered proposition, one desperate handshake, one lie that would either destroy them both or give them everything they'd been searching for. Stay with me until the very end of this story, hit that like button, and comment what city you're watching from so I can see how far this tale travels across the world. The fluorescent lights of Save Mart hummed their tired song above Noah Carter's head as he stood in the dairy aisle staring at the price tags like they were written in a foreign language. $3.49 for a gallon of milk. He had $3.17 left in his wallet. 32 cents short. 32 cents that might as well have been 32,000. Noah's calloused fingers gripped the cold metal of the shopping cart. Not his cart, he reminded himself, just the one he was leaning on to keep himself upright after a 14-hour shift at the warehouse. His daughter Lily's face flashed through his mind, the way she'd looked at breakfast that morning when he'd poured the last drops of milk into her cereal bowl, diluting it with water she pretended not to notice. "It tastes fine, Daddy," she'd said, her 7-year-old voice bright with the kind of manufactured cheerfulness that broke his heart. "I like it this way." She was lying. He knew she was lying, and she knew he knew, which somehow made it worse. His phone buzzed in his pocket, probably another automated reminder about the hospital bills. $16,000 for Lily's emergency appendectomy 6 months ago. The kind of debt that laughed at payment plans, that multiplied faster than he could kill it, that hung over his head like a sword waiting to drop. Noah reached for the store-brand milk, the cheapest option, his pride already negotiating with his exhaustion about which would win tonight. Maybe he could ask Mrs. Chen next door if Lily could have breakfast at her place tomorrow. Maybe he could skip lunch for the rest of the week. Maybe... Excuse me. The voice was soft but carried the kind of weight that made people move. Noah glanced up and immediately felt underdressed in his faded warehouse uniform, his work boots scuffed and splitting at the seams. The woman standing 3 feet away looked like she'd stepped out of a magazine spread. Mid-30s maybe, though it was hard to tell with people who could afford good skincare. Her black coat probably cost more than his monthly rent. Dark hair pulled back in a style that seemed effortless, but likely took professional help. Eyes that were currently scanning the organic milk section with the kind of casual focus that suggested she'd never had to count pennies in her life. Noah turned back to his own section, to his own problems, to his own reality. I said, "Excuse me." This time the voice was sharper, more insistent. Noah realized he was blocking her path to the cheaper milk. Of course, even rich people came to discount supermarkets sometimes, probably for the thrill of slumming it. "Sorry," he muttered, starting to move his cart. "Wait." He paused, confused. The woman wasn't looking at the milk anymore. She was looking past him, her body language shifting from casual shopper to something else entirely, something that looked like fear. Noah followed her gaze and saw a man at the end of the aisle. Expensive suit, gray at the temples, the kind of handsome that came with personal trainers and dental veneers. He was checking his phone, but there was something deliberate about his positioning, like he was blocking the exit without appearing to. "Do you know him?" Noah asked quietly. "My ex-husband," the woman said, her voice tight. "He followed me here." Noah glanced between them. "You want me to call someone?" "No." She turned to face Noah directly for the first time, and he was struck by how scared she looked despite the expensive armor of her clothing. "I need you to do something that's going to sound insane." "Lady, I've got about 3 minutes before I need to figure out how to buy milk I can't afford. I don't have time for, 'I'll pay you.'" That stopped him. Noah's hand tightened on the cart handle. "Pay me for what?" The woman took a step closer, close enough that he could smell her perfume, something subtle and probably cost more per ounce than gold. "He's going to come over here in about 30 seconds. When he does, I need you to pretend you're my boyfriend." Noah let out a short, disbelieving laugh. "You're joking." "Do I look like I'm joking?" Her eyes were deadly serious. "He's a powerful man. He's been trying to destroy my career for 6 months because I divorced him. If he thinks I've moved on, if he thinks I have someone in my life, it might give me leverage I desperately need." "Get someone else," Noah said, already turning away. "I'm not an actor." You're perfect. Her hand shot out and gripped his arm. You look real, normal, like an actual person someone might date for reasons other than money or status. Please, just 2 minutes of your time. I'll make it worth it. How worth it? The question was out before Noah could stop himself, before his pride could override the raw mathematics of his situation. The woman's eyes flickered to his uniform, to the generic brand milk in his cart, to the way his boots were held together with duct tape. She saw him completely in that moment, saw through him to the desperation underneath, and instead of looking away like most people did, she leaned in. How much do you need? I don't. The milk. How much are you short? Noah felt his face heat with shame. It doesn't matter. 32 cents, she said, glancing at the price tag. You're 32 cents short, and you look like you haven't slept in a week. You work at a warehouse, probably hourly, probably no benefits. You've got someone at home you're taking care of. The way you're looking at that milk says, it's not for you. A kid, maybe? Stop, Noah said quietly. Just stop. I'll give you $5,000, the woman said. Cash, right now. Just pretend to be my boyfriend for 2 minutes when he comes over here. $5,000. The number hit Noah like a physical blow. $5,000 would cover Lily's school supplies for the year, would catch up his rent, would buy actual groceries instead of whatever was cheapest, would let him breathe for the first time in months. Why would you pay that much for 2 minutes? He asked suspiciously. Because I'm desperate, she said simply, and because that man walking toward us right now is going to make my life hell if I don't have some kind of shield. Please, I'm not asking you to do anything illegal or dangerous. Just stand there and let me hold your hand. The man in the expensive suit was 3 aisles away now, moving with purpose. 5,000, Noah repeated. My name is Selena, the woman said. Selena Hart. What's yours? Noah Carter. His voice sounded far away, like it belonged to someone else, someone who was about to make a choice he didn't fully understand. Nice to meet you, Noah Carter. Selena's hand found his, her fingers cool and soft against his rough, calloused palm. Quick, what do I need to know about you in 30 seconds? I what? If we're dating, I need to know basic details. Favorite food, how we met, something. Quick. The suit was 2 aisles away. Noah's mind went blank with panic. I don't know, I like coffee. I work at Patterson Warehouse. I've got a daughter who's 7. I haven't been on a date since... Perfect, Selena interrupted. We met at a coffee shop 3 weeks ago. You made me laugh with a story about your daughter. We've been seeing each other casually since then. You're nervous about moving too fast because of her. I respect that, got it? This is insane, Noah whispered. Completely. Selena's grip tightened on his hand. But it's happening. Just follow my lead and act like you actually like me. The man in the suit rounded the corner into their aisle. Up close, he was older than Noah had guessed. Mid-40s maybe, with the kind of cold handsomeness that belonged on corporate boardrooms and yacht clubs. His eyes locked onto Selena immediately, then dropped to where her hand was intertwined with Noah's. Selena, the man said, his voice smooth as expensive scotch. What a surprise. Richard, Selena's voice had transformed completely. The fear was gone, replaced by cool politeness. I didn't expect to see you here. I thought you only shopped at Whole Foods. Richard's smile didn't reach his eyes. I could say the same about you. Save Mart seems a bit beneath your usual standards. His gaze slid to Noah with obvious disdain. Though perhaps your standards have changed in other ways as well. Noah felt Selena's hand tremble slightly in his, though her face remained perfectly calm. Richard, this is Noah, she said, and Noah heard the silent plea in her voice. Noah, this is Richard Ashford. We used to be married. Used to be, Richard repeated, his tone making it clear the distinction bothered him. He didn't offer his hand to Noah. And what exactly do you do, Noah? Let me guess. Construction? Plumbing? Warehouse work, Noah said, lifting his chin. Something in Richard's tone triggered an old defensiveness, a pride that had nothing to do with money, and everything to do with the fact that he'd been up since 4 a.m. doing honest work. Patterson Logistics. Fascinating. Richard's tone suggested it was anything but. He turned his attention back to Selena. We need to talk about the board meeting next week. We have nothing to discuss, Selena said. I think we do, especially now. Richard's eyes flickered meaningfully to Noah. You're making choices that affect the company, Selena. The board has concerns about your judgment. My personal life has nothing to do with Hart Industries. Everything you do reflects on Hart Industries. You know that. Richard stepped closer, and Noah instinctively moved to position himself slightly between them. Richard noticed, and his expression hardened. Or have you forgotten that I still sit on the board? That I still have influence over your future? Is that a threat? Noah asked before he could stop himself. Both Selena and Richard looked at him in surprise, as if they'd forgotten he was there. Excuse me? Richard's voice dropped to a dangerous quiet. It sounded like a threat, Noah said. The smart thing would be to shut up, to let this play out, to collect his $5,000 and disappear. But there was something about the way Richard was looking at Selena, like she was property he'd lost instead of a person who'd escaped, that made Noah's jaw tight. She said she doesn't want to talk to you. Maybe you should respect that. The silence that followed was arctic. Selena, Richard said, his eyes never leaving Noah's face. Where did you find this one? He doesn't seem to understand how things work in your world. He's perfect, Selena said, and there was steel in her voice now. He treats me like a human being instead of a company asset. Novel concept, I know. Richard's laugh was sharp and humorless. Is this really what you want? To throw away everything we built together for some warehouse worker you probably met last week? We met 3 weeks ago, Selena said smoothly. At a coffee shop. He made me laugh. Something you never quite managed to do. Noah felt dizzy. This was happening too fast, spiraling into something bigger than 2 minutes and $5,000. But Selena's hand in his was an anchor, and the fear he'd seen in her eyes when she first spotted Richard kept him rooted in place. A coffee shop, Richard repeated. How charmingly pedestrian. He pulled out his phone, typed something, then looked back at them with a smile that made Noah's skin crawl. Well, I wish you both the best. Though I have to say, Noah, you might want to ask yourself what a billionaire CEO wants with someone like you. Selena doesn't do anything without calculating the benefit. That's enough, Selena said sharply. Is it? Richard pocketed his phone. I'll see you at the board meeting, Selena. Let's hope your new relationship doesn't become problematic for your position. The board already has concerns about your decision-making. This won't help. He walked away without another word, leaving Selena and Noah standing in the dairy aisle like survivors of a car crash. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then Selena released Noah's hand and stepped back, her professional composure cracking at the edges. Thank you, she said quietly. You didn't have to defend me like that. He was being an asshole, Noah said. He was shaking slightly, adrenaline draining away to leave him exhausted and confused. What the hell just happened? Something worse than I expected. Selena ran a hand through her hair, disrupting its perfect styling. He's going to use this. He's going to tell the board I'm in a relationship with someone completely inappropriate, that I'm making reckless personal decisions that reflect poor judgment professionally. He'll try to push me out. Push you out of what? My own company. Selena's laugh was bitter. Hart Industries. My father built it, left it to me. Richard married me thinking he'd eventually take over. When I divorced him and made it clear that would never happen, he positioned himself on the board and has been working to undermine me ever since. If he can prove I'm unstable or making bad decisions, he can rally enough votes to remove me as CEO. Noah stared at her. And you want him to think you're dating a warehouse worker? How does that help? I don't know, Selena admitted. I panicked, I saw him, and I needed something to change the dynamic. Some kind of evidence that I've moved on, that he doesn't affect me anymore. She looked at Noah directly. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have dragged you into this. Take this for your trouble. She pulled out her wallet, designer leather, probably cost more than his car, and extracted several $100 bills. Noah didn't count them, just stared. I can't take this, he said. We had a deal. A deal for 2 minutes. That was more than 2 minutes, and it sounded like I just made your life significantly worse. Noah backed away from the money like it was dangerous. Keep it. I'm sorry about your ex-husband. I hope you figure it out. He grabbed the cheapest milk. He'd figure out the 32 cents somehow, maybe he had change in the car, and started pushing his cart toward the checkout. Wait, Selena called. Noah didn't stop. Noah Carter, wait! The desperation in her voice made him pause. He turned to find her following him, the money still clutched in her hand. What if it wasn't just 2 minutes? She asked. What? What if? Selena took a breath, and Noah could see her mind working, calculating, planning. Richard is going to tell the board about you. That's already done. The damage is already done. But what if we turned it into something that works in my favor instead of his? I don't understand. The board meeting is in 5 days. If Richard tells them I'm in some impulsive, reckless relationship with an inappropriate man, they might vote to remove me. But if I show up to that meeting with a stable, genuine partner, someone who makes me happy, someone who represents that I've built a real life outside of work, it becomes a strength instead of a weakness. Noah shook his head. You want me to pretend to be your boyfriend for 5 days? Yes? That's insane. I know. You don't even know me. I know enough. Selena stepped closer. You defended me against Richard without any reason to. You were short 32 cents for milk, and you still almost didn't take my money because you thought it might make my situation worse. You have a daughter you're clearly killing yourself to take care of. That tells me more about your character than a month of dating would. This is crazy, Noah repeated, but his conviction was wavering. $5,000 for 2 minutes. What would 5 days be worth? $25,000, Selena said, reading his thoughts. $5,000 per day, paid up front. All you have to do is show up when I need you, act like you actually like spending time with me, and attend the board meeting as my partner. After that, we go our separate ways, and you never have to think about this again. $25,000. Noah's mind reeled. That was nearly half his annual salary. That was enough to get ahead of the hospital bills, to fix his car, to buy Lily actual new clothes instead of thrift store finds. That was breathing room. That was hope. Why me? He asked. You could hire an actor, someone who knows how to do this kind of thing. Because Richard would see through an actor in seconds. He's paranoid and calculating. But you? Selena's expression softened. You're real. Everything about you is real. The way you talk, the way you carry yourself, the way you looked at that milk like it was the most important decision of your day. Richard won't believe someone like you could be faked. Someone like me, Noah repeated. You mean poor. I mean genuine, Selena corrected. Richard has spent so long in a world where everything is a transaction that he won't recognize something authentic. You're my proof that I can have a real relationship with a real person. That I'm not the calculating ice queen he's painting me as to the board. Noah looked down at the milk in his cart, then at the woman offering him more money than he'd ever seen at once. If I do this, he said slowly, we need ground rules. Of course. I have a daughter. She doesn't get involved in any of this. As far as she knows, I'm picking up some extra consulting work that requires evening meetings. She doesn't meet you, doesn't know anything about you. Selena nodded. Agreed. And after the board meeting, this ends. Clean. No drama, no complications. You go back to your billionaire life, and I go back to mine. That's the plan. Noah studied her face, looking for signs of manipulation or hidden angles. All he saw was exhaustion that matched his own and a desperation he understood intimately. When would we start? He asked. Relief flooded Selena's features. Tomorrow night, there's a charity gala. Richard will be there, along with several board members. If we show up together, looking comfortable and natural, it plants the seed that we're serious. Then a few smaller appearances over the next few days to build the narrative. A gala. Noah looked down at his warehouse uniform. I don't exactly have a tuxedo lying around. I'll take care of everything, clothes, transportation, coaching on what to expect. All you have to do is show up and be yourself. Selena pulled out a business card and a pen, scribbling on the back. This is my personal number. Text me your address, and I'll have everything delivered tomorrow afternoon. The car will pick you up at 7 p.m. Noah took the card, the expensive cardstock, feeling foreign in his rough hands. This is really happening. Only if you want it to. Selena's voice was gentle. I know I'm asking a lot. If you need time to think about it. $25,000, Noah interrupted. Up front? I'll have my assistant deliver a cashier's check tomorrow morning. It was too much money to turn down. Too much money to even pretend to think about turning down. Noah had been drowning for months, and this woman was throwing him a life raft, even if it came with strings attached. Okay, he said. I'll do it. Selena's smile was transformative, genuine relief replacing the calculated composure. Thank you. You have no idea what this means to me. I hope I don't regret this. That makes two of us. Selena glanced toward the front of the store. I should go. Richard might still be watching. Text me when you get home and we'll go over the details. She started to walk away, then paused and turned back. Noah? The milk. She pressed several bills into his hand, way more than needed for milk. Buy the good kind. Your daughter deserves it. Then she was gone, disappearing toward the checkout lanes with the same elegant composure she'd arrived with, leaving Noah standing alone in the dairy aisle with a handful of cash and the feeling that his life had just changed in ways he couldn't begin to understand. The apartment was dark when Noah got home at 9:47 p.m. Mrs. Chen from next door had watched Lily after school, another favor Noah would have to repay somehow, and had put her to bed an hour ago. Noah locked the door quietly, set the milk in the refrigerator along with the actual groceries he'd been able to buy with Selena's money, and collapsed onto the worn couch. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Is this Noah? Esh. Noah stared at the screen for a long moment before typing back. Yeah, got home safe. The response was immediate. Good. The check will arrive at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Do you have any allergies I should know about for catering? Catering? At the gala. They'll have food. Noah laughed despite himself. In his world, catering meant pizza at the warehouse break room on someone's birthday. No allergies. Perfect. Your tuxedo should arrive around 4 p.m. If it doesn't fit, text immediately, and I'll have alterations sent over. What size shoe? 11. Got it. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. Noah set his phone down and leaned back, closing his eyes. $25,000 to pretend to date a billionaire for 5 days. It sounded like a fantasy. It sounded like a scam. It sounded like exactly the kind of miracle he'd stopped believing in months ago. In a room down the hall, Lily coughed in her sleep. Noah pushed himself up and padded quietly to her doorway, watching the rise and fall of her small chest under the blankets. 7 years old, and already she'd learned to pretend things were okay when they weren't, to smile when he poured watered-down milk, to not ask for things she knew he couldn't afford. $25,000 could change that. Could give her a childhood that wasn't defined by scarcity and stress. Could let him be the father she deserved instead of the exhausted ghost he'd become. I'm doing something crazy, baby girl, he whispered to the sleeping child. But it's for you. It's always for you. His phone buzzed again. This time it was a different message. One more thing. Tomorrow night, just be yourself. That's all I need. That's all anyone needs. Zzz. Noah read it 3 times before responding, what if myself isn't good enough for a world like yours? The reply came after a long pause. Then it's not a world worth being in. But at 9:03 a.m. the next morning, a courier in a crisp uniform delivered a cashier's check for $25,000 to Noah's apartment. Noah signed for it with shaking hands, stared at the zeros, and immediately walked to the bank before he could convince himself it was all a dream. The teller who processed the deposit looked at him suspiciously until the check cleared, then her expression shifted to confused respect. Noah watched the numbers appear in his account and felt something he hadn't experienced in months. Hope. He paid the most urgent hospital bill immediately, transferred money to cover rent for the next 2 months, bought Lily the good cereal, the kind with the cartoon character she loved, filled his gas tank all the way to the top for the first time in a year. And then, because he had 3 hours before he needed to pick Lily up from school, Noah did something he hadn't done in forever. He sat down and breathed without the weight of immediate crisis crushing his chest. His phone rang. Selena's name on the screen. Hello? Noah, hi. I hope I'm not interrupting. Her voice sounded different on the phone, less composed, more uncertain. I wanted to make sure the check arrived. It did, thank you. Good. Listen, I've been thinking about tonight and I realized I should prepare you better. The people at this gala, they're going to ask questions. They're going to judge you. Some of them are going to be incredibly rude about the fact that you're not from their world. I can handle rude, Noah said. I work warehouse loading docks. Rude is practically the job description. Selena laughed, a real sound that seemed to surprise her. Fair point, but this is a different kind of rude. It's subtle, backhanded compliments and polite dismissals. They'll smile while they're cutting you down. So like Richard. Exactly like Richard. Except 30 of him at once. She paused. If it gets to be too much, just give me a signal and we can leave early. This isn't worth making you miserable. I'll be fine, Noah said with more confidence than he felt. It's just one night. Right, just one night. Selena sounded like she was trying to convince herself as much as him. The car will be there at 7. The driver's name is Marcus. He'll have water and snacks in case you haven't eaten. Selena? Yes? Why are you really doing this? Not the board meeting stuff. Why are you being so nice about it? The silence stretched long enough that Noah thought the call had dropped. Because Richard spent 3 years making me feel like I was only valuable for what I could provide, Selena finally said. For the company I ran, the connections I had, the image I projected. I don't want to do that to someone else. Even if this is a transaction, you're still a person. You deserve to be treated like one. Noah didn't know what to say to that. In the end, he settled for, "See you at 7. "See you at 7, Selena echoed, and hung up. Das. The tuxedo arrived at 4:17 p.m. in a garment bag that probably cost more than Noah's entire wardrobe combined. It fit perfectly. Somehow Selena had guessed his measurements exactly. The shoes were Italian leather, so soft they felt like gloves. The whole ensemble made Noah look like someone he didn't recognize in the mirror. Lily came home from school and stopped in the doorway, her eyes going wide. "Daddy, you look like a prince!" Noah laughed and scooped her up. "Not a prince, baby girl. Just fancy for a work thing." "You never dress fancy for work." "This is a special work thing. I'm helping someone with a project." It wasn't exactly a lie. "Mrs. Chen is going to watch you tonight, okay? I'll be home late." Lily frowned. "You're always home late now." The observation hit harder than it should have. Noah knelt down to her level. "I know, but after this week, things are going to be different. Better, I promise." "Different how?" "Different like maybe we can get you those light-up shoes you wanted. Different like maybe I can actually come to your school play next month instead of missing it for work." Lily's face lit up. "Really?" "Really." Noah pulled her into a hug, breathing in the strawberry shampoo scent of her hair. "I love you. You know that?" "I love you too, Daddy." She pulled back and adjusted his bow tie with 7-year-old seriousness. "There. Now you're perfect." Tuck. Marcus, the driver, was exactly on time. The car was a black luxury sedan that looked like it belonged in a movie. Noah felt ridiculous climbing into it wearing his borrowed tuxedo, felt like everyone in the neighborhood was watching and judging. "Good evening, Mr. Carter," Marcus said politely. "There's water and snacks in the console if you need anything. The drive is about 40 minutes. "Thank you." Noah settled into leather seats that were more comfortable than his bed. "Have you worked for Ms. Hart long?" 5 years. Marcus pulled smoothly into traffic. "She's a good employer. Fair. Doesn't forget that the people who work for her are human. That seems rare in her world. Rarer than it should be." Marcus met Noah's eyes in the rearview mirror. "If you don't mind me saying, sir, you seem nervous." "Is it that obvious?" "Only to someone who's seen a lot of nervous passengers." Marcus's smile was kind. "Whatever you're walking into tonight, just remember that money doesn't make people better than you, just richer." Noah appreciated the sentiment even if he wasn't sure he believed it. Money might not make people better, but it certainly made their lives easier. And after months of drowning, easy sounded like paradise. They drove through neighborhoods that got progressively wealthier, houses giving way to estates, streetlights becoming fewer as private security took over. By the time they pulled up to the venue, a historic mansion converted into an event space, Noah felt like he'd traveled to a different country. "Ms. Hart asked me to bring you in through the side entrance," Marcus said. "She's waiting in the blue room." The blue room turned out to be a private sitting area off the main ballroom. Selena was standing by the window when Noah entered, wearing a dress that probably cost more than his car. She turned when she heard him and something crossed her face. Surprise, maybe, or approval. "You clean up well," she said. "So do you." It felt inadequate, but Noah didn't have the vocabulary for the kind of elegance she was projecting. Selena crossed to him, studying him with the same calculating intensity she'd shown in the supermarket. Then she reached up and adjusted his bow tie, the same gesture Lily had made earlier, and Noah was struck by how different the same action could feel. "Nervous?" she asked. "Terrified," he admitted. "Good. Use that. Nervous is authentic. Nervous is real." She stepped back. "Remember, we've been dating for 3 weeks. We met at a coffee shop. You made me laugh with a story about your daughter accidentally dyeing the family cat green with food coloring. Lily never dyed a cat green." "I know, but it's a good story. Relatable. Makes you seem like a devoted father dealing with normal parent chaos." Selena smoothed her dress. "The key is to keep details vague. If anyone asks specific questions about our relationship, we're still in the early stages, still figuring things out. The ambiguity works in our favor. What if someone asks about my job? Tell them the truth. You work at Patterson Warehouse. You've been there for 6 years. You're proud of the work you do." Selena met his eyes. "Don't apologize for who you are, Noah. The second you act ashamed, they'll tear you apart. Own it." Noah took a deep breath. "Okay. One more thing." Selena pulled a small box from her purse. "This is going to sound strange, but I need you to wear this." She opened the box to reveal a simple watch. Elegant, expensive, but not flashy. "It's a $15,000 watch," Noah said, recognizing the brand from a TV commercial. "It's a prop," Selena corrected. "No one at this event will believe I'd date someone wearing a $30 Timex. The watch tells them you're someone I'd invest in, someone worth my time. I feel like a kept man. You feel like someone who understands that appearances matter in this world." Selena took the watch and fastened it around his wrist herself. Her fingers were gentle, professional. "There. Perfect." They stood close for a moment, Selena's hand still on his wrist, both of them aware that they were about to step into something neither of them could fully control. "Ready?" she asked. "No," Noah said honestly, "but let's do it anyway." Oh, Selena's smile was small, but genuine. "That's the spirit." She linked her arm through his, the gesture surprisingly natural. "Remember, you're here because I want you here, not because you have to prove anything to anyone. Just be yourself." They walked toward the ballroom together, and Noah tried to ignore the feeling that he was walking toward something that would change everything, for better or worse. The doors opened onto a scene from another world: crystal chandeliers, live orchestra, people in clothes that cost more than Noah's annual salary. And every single one of them turned to look as Selena Hart walked in with a man nobody recognized, their whispers filling the air like static. Noah felt Selena's grip tighten on his arm. "Here we go," she whispered. And together, they stepped into the lion's den. The first person to approach them was a woman in her 60s wearing enough diamonds to fund a small country. Her smile was sharp enough to cut glass. "Selena, darling," she said, air kissing near Selena's cheeks without actually making contact. "How wonderful to see you. And who is this handsome stranger?" "Patricia, this is Noah Carter," Selena said smoothly, her hand warm against Noah's arm. "Noah, Patricia Whitmore. She sits on the Hart Industries board." Patricia's eyes traveled over Noah like he was a specimen under a microscope. "Carter. I don't believe I know that name. What family are you from?" "The kind that doesn't have a family name worth knowing," Noah said before he could stop himself. Selena's fingers pressed warningly against his arm, but Patricia actually laughed. "How refreshingly honest. And what do you do, Mr. Carter?" "I work at Patterson Warehouse, logistics and distribution." The temperature in Patricia's smile dropped several degrees. "How industrious. And how did you two meet?" "Coffee shop," Selena interjected. 3 weeks ago. He was reading to his daughter and made her laugh so hard she snorted milk out of her nose. I couldn't help but notice. "A daughter," Patricia repeated, and Noah heard volumes in those 2 words. "How old?" 7, Noah said, his jaw tightening. "And her mother?" "Not in the picture." Noah's voice came out harder than he intended. "Hasn't been for 5 years." Patricia's eyebrows rose fractionally. "I see. Well, how lovely that Selena has found someone so grounded." The word was a scalpel wrapped in velvet. "Do enjoy the evening." She glided away, already pulling out her phone, and Noah felt his chest tighten. "I screwed that up," he muttered. "You were perfect," Selena said quietly. "Patricia hates pretense. You gave her exactly what she needed to believe this is real. She looked at me like I was dirt on her shoe. She looks at everyone like that. It's her resting face. Selena guided him toward the bar. You need a drink. I don't drink. Then you need sparkling water that looks like a drink. Trust me. The bartender handed Noah a glass of something fizzy with lime, and he tried not to notice how much the glassware probably cost. Around them, the ballroom pulsed with conversations that sounded like negotiations disguised as pleasantries. Women in gowns that could feed families for months. Men in tuxedos discussing stock portfolios and vacation homes. There he is, Selena said softly. Noah followed her gaze and saw Richard Ashford across the room, surrounded by a small cluster of people who laughed at something he'd said. He looked like he belonged there, like he'd been born for rooms like this. He's already seen us, Selena continued. He's just deciding when to make his move. What do you mean? He won't confront us directly. Not yet. He'll send proxies first, people who will ask questions, probe for weaknesses, report back to him. She took a sip of her champagne. The board members are his eyes and ears tonight. As if on cue, a man in his 50s materialized beside them. Selena, I heard a rumor you'd brought a date. James Thornton. We met briefly at last quarter's meeting. Of course, James. This is Noah Carter. James's handshake was firm, calculated. Carter, what brings you into Selena's orbit? Luck, mostly, Noah said. And good coffee. He's being modest, Selena said, and her hand found the small of Noah's back, a gesture so natural that Noah almost believed it himself. He's also being charming, which is rarer than you'd think in my circles. James chuckled, but his eyes were cataloging everything. What do you think of all this, Noah? Must be quite different from your usual evening. You could say that, Noah admitted. Where I come from, fancy means the restaurant gives you real napkins instead of paper. And where exactly is that? Noah felt the trap in the question. The man wanted a pedigree, a background, something that would slot Noah into a category he could understand and dismiss. South side of the city, Noah said, born and raised. Went to Franklin High, worked construction for a while, then moved into warehouse logistics. He met James's eyes directly. Nothing glamorous, but it pays the bills. I'm sure it does. James's tone suggested it barely did. And what do you make of Hart Industries? Do you follow the tech sector? Not particularly. My daughter watches more YouTube than I read Forbes. Selena laughed, a real sound that made several heads turn. He keeps me humble, James. It's refreshing to be with someone who doesn't want to talk about quarterly earnings over dinner. I can imagine. James's smile didn't reach his eyes. Though I have to say, Selena, the timing is interesting. Big board meeting coming up, and suddenly you appear with a serious relationship no one knew about. It's only been 3 weeks, Selena said, but there was steel underneath the lightness. I didn't realize I needed to issue press releases about my personal life. Of course not. Just surprising, that's all. Especially given how private you usually are. James glanced at Noah. No offense, but you don't seem like Selena's usual type. What's her usual type? Noah asked. Ambitious? Connected? From the right families? James's meaning was crystal clear. The kind of man who understands the pressures of her position. Maybe that's exactly why it didn't work out, Noah said. Maybe she needed someone who cares about her instead of her position. The words came out before Noah could filter them, and for a moment the silence was absolute. Then Selena's hand squeezed his, and when Noah looked at her, something in her expression had shifted, something real breaking through the performance. Exactly, she said softly. James studied them both for a long moment. Well, I hope you know what you're doing, Selena. The board is watching. He nodded to Noah. Nice meeting you, Carter. He walked away, and Noah let out a breath he hadn't known he was holding. Was that okay? He asked. That was more than okay, Selena said. That was exactly what I needed. He's going to report back to Richard that this seems genuine, which makes the whole thing more complicated for them. Good. Noah took a drink of his fake cocktail. How many more of these conversations do we have to have? Probably 5 or 6 before dinner. Then Richard will make his play during the meal when we're trapped at a table. Selena's expression tightened. I should warn you, he's going to try to embarrass you. Find ways to highlight the differences between your world and this one. I'm already embarrassed, Noah said. I'm wearing a borrowed tuxedo and pretending to belong somewhere I clearly don't. How much worse can it get? Selena turned to face him fully, her hand still on his arm. Listen to me. You belong anywhere you choose to stand. These people aren't better than you because they have money. They're just louder about it. Easy for you to say. You're one of them. I'm really not. Something raw flickered across Selena's face. I built this company from what my father left me, yes, but I did it while everyone in this room was betting I'd fail. While my own husband was undermining me at every board meeting. I know exactly what it feels like to not belong, Noah. The suit doesn't change that. Before Noah could respond, a commotion near the entrance drew their attention. A younger woman, mid-20s, stunning in a red dress that probably cost more than Noah's car, was making a beeline toward them. Please tell me that's not who I think it is, Selena muttered. Who is it? Melissa Ashford, Richard's daughter from his first marriage. Selena's grip tightened. She hates me almost as much as he does. Melissa arrived in a cloud of expensive perfume and barely contained hostility. Selena, Daddy said you'd brought a date, but I had to see it to believe it. Melissa, always a pleasure, Selena said, her voice professionally pleasant. This is Noah Carter. Noah? Melissa Ashford. So you're the warehouse worker everyone's talking about, Melissa said, looking Noah up and down like he was a curiosity in a museum. I have to say, I didn't think you were Selena's type. That seems to be the consensus, Noah said dryly. Melissa's smile was all teeth. It's just so sudden, you know? 3 weeks ago, no one had heard of you, and now here you are playing boyfriend at the most important social event of the season, right before a crucial board meeting. The timing is almost suspicious. Melissa, Selena's voice carried a warning. I'm just saying what everyone's thinking, Melissa turned to Noah. Do you even understand what you've gotten yourself into? What Selena's world is really like? I'm learning, Noah said carefully. Are you? Melissa leaned in, her voice dropping to something more intimate and far more cruel. Did she tell you about the last man she dated seriously, before my father? Trevor Marsh. Came from nothing, just like you. Selena pulled him into her world, dressed him up, paraded him around. Then when he stopped being useful for her image, she dropped him without a second thought. He lost his job, his apartment, everything. Last I heard, he was working at a gas station in Nevada. Noah felt something cold settle in his stomach. That true? It's a gross oversimplification, Selena said, her voice tight. Trevor and I dated for 6 months. When we broke up, he chose to leave the city. I had nothing to do with his employment situation. Well, you had everything to do with it, Melissa countered. You made one phone call and suddenly no one in the tech sector would hire him. Don't pretend you're some innocent victim here, Selena. You destroy people when they stop being useful to you. That's enough, Noah said quietly. Both women looked at him in surprise. I don't know what happened with this Trevor guy, Noah continued, his voice steady despite the uncertainty churning in his gut. And honestly, it's none of my business. What Selena did before I met her doesn't change what I know about her now. And what do you know? Melissa challenged. That she treats people with respect, that she's honest about what she wants and what she can give, that she's strong enough to stand in a room full of people who want to tear her down and not flinch. Noah looked at Selena. That's enough for me. The silence that followed was broken by slow clapping. Richard Ashford had appeared behind his daughter, his expression amused and predatory. Well said, Noah, Richard said. Very gallant, very noble. Selena, you've chosen well this time. Much better than Trevor, certainly. Richard, Selena's voice was ice. Melissa, darling, why don't you go find your table, Richard said, dismissing his daughter with a casual wave. She shot Selena one more venomous look before disappearing into the crowd. Richard stepped closer, and Noah instinctively moved to put himself between Selena and her ex-husband. No need for that, Richard said mildly. I'm not here to cause a scene. I just wanted to welcome you properly to Selena's world, Noah, since we didn't get to finish our conversation at the supermarket. I think we covered everything we needed to, Noah said. Did we? I don't think Selena mentioned that she has a board meeting in 4 days where several members are planning to vote her out as CEO. Did she tell you that part? Richard, stop, Selena said. Did she mention that I have enough votes to make it happen? That the only reason I haven't pulled the trigger yet is because I was curious to see how she'd respond? Richard's smile was sharp. This is her response, apparently. A fake relationship designed to make her seem more stable and relatable to the board. Noah's stomach dropped, but he kept his face carefully neutral. You think it's fake? I know it's fake. Richard pulled out his phone. I had my assistant do some research on you, Noah Carter. Single father, drowning in medical debt, about to be laid off from Patterson Warehouse. That last part is particularly interesting because I happen to know the CEO of Patterson Industries. We play golf together. One phone call and your name went on the layoff list 2 days ago. The world tilted. Noah stared at Richard, trying to process what he'd just heard. You're lying, Noah said, but his voice lacked conviction. Am I? Call your supervisor tomorrow. Ask him about the downsizing announcement that's coming next week. Richard pocketed his phone. I did you a favor, really. Selena was looking for someone desperate enough to play along with her little charade. I made sure she found you. You manipulated this? Selena breathed, her face pale. You engineered the whole thing. I created an opportunity, Richard corrected. You chose to take it, and now here we are, with your fake boyfriend who is already at the supermarket by pure coincidence, already in desperate need of money, already perfectly positioned to say yes when you made your little proposition. He looked at Noah. Tell me, what did she offer you? 10,000? 20? Noah didn't answer. His mind was racing, trying to fit the pieces together, trying to figure out if Richard was telling the truth or just trying to drive a wedge between them. It doesn't matter, Selena said firmly. Whether you manipulated the circumstances or not, what Noah and I have is real. Is it? Richard's eyebrows rose. Then you won't mind if I share some interesting security footage with the board. The discount supermarket has cameras, Selena, very clear cameras, and they show the exact moment you grabbed a complete stranger's hand and started this whole performance. They show you negotiating payment. They show everything. The color drained from Selena's face. You can't. I can, and I will, unless you do the smart thing and withdraw from the board meeting. Resign as CEO. Take a generous severance package and let someone more qualified run the company. Richard's voice dropped. This is your last chance, Selena. Walk away with your dignity, or I burn you to the ground in front of the entire board. Noah felt Selena trembling beside him, felt her composure cracking, the fear she'd been carrying finally breaking through. And something in him snapped. Do it, Noah said. Both Richard and Selena looked at him in shock. What? Richard said. Show them the footage, Noah continued, his voice getting stronger. Show them that Selena grabbed my hand in a supermarket. Show them that she asked me to pretend to be her boyfriend. Show them all of it. Noah, what are you doing? Selena whispered, calling his bluff. Noah turned to Richard. You think that footage proves this is fake? All it proves is how it started. It doesn't prove what it became. You can show them the first minute, but you can't show them the last 3 weeks. You can't show them the late-night phone calls, the conversations, the way she looks at me when she thinks no one's watching. You can show them a transaction, but you can't prove it stayed one. Richard's smile faltered. You're bluffing. Am I? You said it yourself. I'm desperate. I've got nothing to lose, so go ahead. Show your footage, tell your story, and then I'll tell mine. Noah stepped forward. I'll tell them about a woman so trapped by her ex-husband's manipulation that she had to grab a stranger's hand just to feel safe in a grocery store. I'll tell them about a man so threatened by his ex-wife's success that he stalks her to discount supermarkets and gets her employees fired to manufacture vulnerable targets. Which story do you think plays better to a board of directors? The silence stretched like a wire pulled too tight. Richard's face had gone from smug to calculating, weighing options, searching for the angle Noah had missed. You're making a mistake, Richard said finally. Probably, Noah agreed. But it's my mistake to make. Richard's eyes flickered to Selena, then back to Noah. This isn't over. I didn't think it was. Noah felt Selena's hand find his, her fingers threading through his with desperate strength. But if you want to destroy her, you're going to have to go through me first. For a long moment, Richard just stared at them. Then he laughed, a cold, humorless sound. Selena, you really have chosen well this time. He actually believes his own performance. Richard adjusted his cufflinks. Enjoy the dinner. I'll be watching. He He walked away, leaving Noah and Selena standing together in the middle of the ballroom, surrounded by hundreds of people who definitely noticed the confrontation. "What did you just do?" Selena asked quietly. "I have no idea," Noah admitted. His hands were shaking. "Did I just make everything worse?" "You stood up to Richard Ashford in front of half the city's power elite." Selena's voice was strange, something breaking through that Noah couldn't quite identify. "No one does that." "I just did." "Why?" She turned to face him fully. "You could have walked away, could have taken the money and let me crash and burn. Why would you defend me?" Noah thought about Lily, about the way she smiled when he managed to make things okay despite the odds. Thought about the nights he'd lain awake trying to figure out how to keep them afloat. Thought about Selena in the supermarket, scared and trapped and asking for help. "Because someone needed to," he said simply. "And I was standing there." Selena's eyes were bright, and Noah realized with shock that she was fighting tears. Before he could process that, she pulled him into an embrace that was too tight, too real to be part of any performance. "Thank you," she whispered against his shoulder. "You didn't have to do that." "Yeah, I did." Noah's arms came up around her, and for a moment they just stood there, two people clinging to each other in the middle of a storm neither of them had asked for. The dinner that followed was excruciating. Noah found himself seated at a table with Selena, two board members, their spouses, and a venture capitalist who spent the entire first course explaining cryptocurrency in terms that assumed Noah had never heard of the internet. Selena's hand stayed on his knee under the table, a constant anchor, while conversation swirled around them like sharks circling. "So Noah," the venture capitalist's wife said during the second course, "Selena mentioned you have a daughter. How does she feel about mommy's new boyfriend?" The question was a minefield. Noah took a careful breath. "She hasn't met Selena yet," he said. "We're taking things slow. My daughter's been through a lot, and I want to make sure anything serious in my life is really serious before I introduce them." "How thoughtful," the woman said, in a tone that suggested it was anything but. "Though I imagine it must be difficult for a child growing up without a mother." "She's doing fine," Noah said, his jaw tight. "Of course she is. Children are so resilient." The woman smiled. "Still, it must be challenging for you, managing work and childcare alone. Do you have family nearby to help?" "No." "What about the mother? Does she contribute financially?" "That's personal," Selena interjected sharply. "And none of your business, Caroline." Caroline's eyebrows rose. "I was just making conversation." "You were being rude," Selena corrected. "Noah's family situation has nothing to do with anyone at this table." The temperature dropped several degrees. One of the board members coughed awkwardly. The venture capitalist suddenly became very interested in his wine. "I apologize if I overstepped," Caroline said, not sounding apologetic at all. "I just think it's important to know who our CEO is associating with, for the company's reputation." "Noah's character speaks for itself," Selena said, "unlike some people's manners." The rest of the dinner passed in stilted conversation and loaded silences. Noah picked at food that probably cost more than his weekly grocery budget and tried not to think about Richard's words, about being on a layoff list, about being manipulated into position like a chess piece. When the dinner finally ended and people began migrating toward the ballroom for dancing, Selena pulled Noah aside into a quiet alcove. "I need to tell you something," she said, her voice urgent. "Let me guess, Richard was telling the truth about my job." Selena's expression confirmed it. "I didn't know until tonight. I swear to you, Noah, I had no idea he'd manipulated the situation. I thought it was just coincidence that you were at that supermarket." "But you knew I was desperate for money. You saw that immediately." "Yes, but I didn't know why. I didn't know about Richard's involvement." Selena's hands twisted together. "I'm so sorry. If I'd known he'd engineered this..." "You would have what? Not asked me to help?" Noah leaned against the wall, exhaustion crashing over him. "Would that have changed anything?" "I would have warned you, prepared you, given you the choice to walk away before you got tangled up in this mess." "I'm already tangled up," Noah said, "and honestly, I don't know if it matters whether Richard planned it or not. I still needed the money. You still needed help. The reasons we started this don't change where we are now." "Where are we now?" Selena asked quietly. Noah looked at her, really looked at her for the first time all night, saw past the designer dress and perfect makeup to the exhaustion in her eyes, the fear she was trying so hard to hide, the loneliness that probably predated Richard by years. "I don't know," he admitted. "But I meant what I said to Richard. If he wants to destroy you, he goes through me first." "Why?" The question came out broken. "You barely know me. This started as a transaction. Why would you put yourself on the line like that?" Noah thought about it. About Lily learning to smile through hardship. About himself learning to fight for what mattered even when the odds were impossible. About Selena grabbing his hand in a supermarket and trusting him with the truth she couldn't speak aloud. "Because I recognize you," he said finally. "Someone doing whatever it takes to survive. Someone fighting battles alone that no one else sees. I know what that looks like because I live it every day. And maybe I can't fix your problems, but I can at least stand next to you while you fight them." Selena's eyes were definitely wet now. She pressed a hand to her mouth, composing herself with visible effort. "I don't deserve that," she whispered. "Probably not," Noah agreed, "but you're getting it anyway." They stood there in the alcove while music drifted in from the ballroom, and people laughed and danced in a world that felt very far away. Then Selena straightened, wiping carefully at her eyes to preserve her makeup. "Dance with me," she said. "I don't know how to dance like they do out there." "Good. Teach me how you dance instead." Selena held out her hand. "Please, just one dance where we don't have to pretend or perform or calculate every word, just two people moving to music." Noah took her hand and let her lead him back into the ballroom. The orchestra was playing something slow and classical. Around them, couples glided across the floor in practice patterns that looked like choreography. "I'm going to step on your feet," Noah warned. "I don't care," Selena said, and pulled him into a simple embrace. They moved together awkwardly at first, Noah's warehouse worker rhythm clashing with the formal music, Selena's heels making her taller than him by an inch. But gradually they found something that worked. Nothing elegant or practiced, just two people swaying together while the world watched and judged and whispered. "Everyone's staring," Noah murmured. "Let them," Selena said. Her head was on his shoulder, her voice muffled against his borrowed tuxedo. "I'm tired of caring what they think." "That's easy to say now. Harder to live with later." "I know." She pulled back slightly to look at him. "Noah, about what Richard said about Trevor, it's not entirely untrue. You don't have to explain your past relationships to me. I do, though, because if we're going to keep doing this, whatever this is, you deserve to know who you're standing beside." Selena took a breath. "Trevor and I dated for 6 months. He was sweet and normal and everything I thought I wanted, but I was also using him to make Richard jealous after the divorce. I didn't mean to, but I did. And when it became clear that Trevor wanted more than I could give, I ended it badly. I was cold, dismissive. I hurt him because it was easier than admitting I'd hurt myself." "Did you get him fired?" "No, but I didn't help him either, and in my world, not helping is the same as hurting." Selena's eyes searched his. "I'm not good at this, Noah. At being vulnerable, at letting people in. Richard spent 3 years teaching me that every relationship is a transaction, and I learned that lesson too well." "Is that what this is to you?" Noah asked. "A transaction?" "It was," Selena admitted, "but it's not anymore. And that terrifies me more than Richard or the board or losing everything I've built, because I don't know how to care about someone without calculating the cost." The music swelled around them. Noah thought about Lily asleep in her bed, about Mrs. Chen watching her while he danced with a billionaire, about all the impossibilities that had somehow led to this moment. "Then maybe we figure it out together," he said. "No calculations, no transactions, just two people trying to be honest in a world that rewards lying." Selena's smile was small and fragile and completely genuine. "That sounds terrifying." "Yeah," Noah agreed, "it really does." They danced until the song ended, until Richard's eyes on them from across the room became too heavy to ignore, until the weight of performance settled back over them like a familiar coat. But for those few minutes, they were just Noah and Selena, two people clinging to each other in the middle of a storm, trying to find solid ground in a world that kept shifting beneath their feet. When Marcus drove Noah home at midnight, Selena rode with him in the car, neither of them speaking, her hand resting in his like it belonged there. The neighborhoods transformed around them, wealth giving way to middle class, giving way to the south side, where Noah's apartment complex sat under flickering streetlights. "This is me," Noah said when Marcus pulled up. "I know," Selena said softly. "I had my assistant pull your address for the check delivery." They sat there in the idling car, neither quite ready to break the connection. "Tomorrow's Sunday," Selena said. "The board meeting is Tuesday. We should meet Monday, go over strategy, make sure we're aligned on what we're going to say." "Okay. But tomorrow," she hesitated, "tomorrow, would you want to just exist? No performance, no planning. Just spend a few hours being real people." Noah thought about Lily, about keeping her separate from this world, about the promise he'd made to himself. Then he thought about Selena's face when she'd asked him to dance, and the calculation dissolved. "There's a park near here," he said. "My daughter likes to feed the ducks. We usually go around 11. Selena's eyes widened slightly. "You want me to meet your daughter? I want you to see my real life, not the version I can dress up in a borrowed tuxedo, the messy, complicated, actual reality." Noah met her gaze. "If we're going to do this, really do this, you should know what you're signing up for." "Are we really doing this?" Selena's voice was barely a whisper. "I don't know," Noah admitted, "but I'd like to find out." Selena leaned across the seat and kissed him softly, briefly, a question more than a statement. When she pulled back, her eyes were bright with something that might have been hope. 11 o'clock, she said. "I'll be there." Noah climbed out of the car and watched it pull away, carrying Selena back to her world while he returned to his. Inside the apartment, Mrs. Chen was dozing on the couch. He paid her from the money Selena had given him and checked on Lily, who was sprawled across her bed in the fearless way only children could sleep. His phone buzzed. A text from Selena. "Thank you for tonight, for everything. I haven't felt this terrified and hopeful at the same time in years." Noah typed back. "Same. See you tomorrow." He set his phone down and stared at the ceiling, wondering what he'd just agreed to, wondering if hope was worth the risk of falling, wondering if maybe, just maybe, this impossible thing could somehow become real. Sunday morning arrived with the kind of crisp autumn air that made everything feel possible. Noah woke at 7 out of habit, his body still tuned to warehouse hours, even though he'd only gotten 4 hours of sleep. He lay there for a moment, staring at the water-stained ceiling, trying to convince himself that last night had actually happened, that he danced with a billionaire, that he'd stood up to her ex-husband in front of the city's elite, that he'd invited her to meet Lily. That last part made his stomach clench with something between anticipation and terror. He got up and started breakfast, keeping it quiet so Lily could sleep in. The apartment looked different in morning light, smaller, shabbier, more honest. Noah found himself seeing it through Selena's eyes, cataloging all the ways it would fall short. The couch with the torn armrest he'd covered with a throw blanket. The refrigerator that hummed too loud. The window that didn't quite close all the way, letting in drafts and city noise. This was his life, his real life. And in a few hours he was going to show it to a woman who lived in a world where this kind of poverty was something you donated to, not something you lived in. "Daddy?" Noah turned to find Lily in the doorway, her hair sticking up in 7 different directions, clutching the stuffed rabbit that had been her constant companion since she was 2. "Morning, baby girl. You're up early. I heard you making noise." She climbed onto a chair at their tiny kitchen table. "Are you making pancakes?" "I can make pancakes." Noah pulled out the box mix, the cheap kind that required adding water and nothing else. "Special occasion pancakes." "What's the special occasion?" Noah hesitated, spatula in hand. He'd promised himself he wouldn't lie to Lily. Hadn't lied to her even when the truth was hard, even when it would have been easier to pretend everything was fine. But this situation existed in a gray area he didn't have a map for. "Someone I've been working with wants to meet you," he said carefully. "We're going to the park later to feed the ducks, and she's going to join us." Lily's eyes went wide. "A she? Like a girl she?" "Like a woman she, yes." "Is she your girlfriend?" The question came out with the kind of directness only 7-year-olds could manage. "It's complicated," Noah said, which was the understatement of the century. "We're friends, but she's special, and I wanted you two to meet each other." Lily processed this with the seriousness of a Supreme Court justice. "Does she like pancakes?" I don't know. Everyone likes pancakes, Lily said with confidence. You should make extra, just in case. Noah smiled despite the nerves churning in his gut. Good idea. They ate breakfast together while Lily chattered about school and her best friend Emma and the class hamster that had escaped again. Normal Sunday morning conversation, except Noah kept checking his phone, half expecting Selena to text and cancel, to come to her senses about entering his world. But at 9:30, she texted, "Still on for 11? What should I wear?" Noah looked at Lily, who was currently wearing mismatched socks, leggings with a hole in one knee, and a shirt that proclaimed her love for unicorns. Casual, he texted back. We're feeding ducks, not attending galas. I don't know if I own casual. Then wear whatever makes you comfortable. Lily won't judge you. There was a long pause, then, but will you? The question caught Noah off guard. He thought about Selena and her designer dress, her armor of expensive clothing and perfect makeup, wondered what she looked like without all that. No, he typed. I won't. At 10:45, Noah and Lily walked to Henderson Park, a small slice of green wedged between apartment buildings where a man-made pond hosted a rotating cast of ducks and geese who'd learned that humans meant food. Lily carried a bag of stale bread she'd been saving all week, chattering excitedly about which ducks she hoped to see. There's this one duck that has a green head and he's really bossy, she explained for the 100th time. He always takes the biggest pieces. Emma says he's probably the king duck. Probably, Noah agreed, scanning the park for Selena. He spotted her at 11 exactly, standing near the pond's edge looking uncertain in a way he'd never seen her before. She was wearing jeans, actual jeans, though they probably cost more than his rent, and a cream-colored sweater that looked soft enough to be cashmere. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, her face barely touched by makeup. She looked younger, more vulnerable, more real. Is that her? Lily whispered, suddenly shy. Yeah, baby girl, that's her. Noah took Lily's hand. Come on. They approached together, and Selena turned at the sound of their footsteps. Her eyes went immediately to Lily, and something in her expression shifted, softened in a way Noah hadn't seen before. Hi, Selena said, kneeling down to Lily's level without hesitation. You must be Lily. I'm Selena. Your dad has told me so much about you. He told me about you too, Lily said, clutching Noah's hand tighter. But he didn't say you were pretty. Selena's laugh was genuine and surprised. Thank you. You're pretty too. I love your unicorn shirt. Unicorns are my favorite. Do you like unicorns? I've never really thought about it, Selena admitted, but I'm willing to be convinced. Lily seemed to consider this acceptable. She held up her bag of bread. We're going to feed the ducks. Do you want to help? I'd love to. They walked to the pond together, Lily explaining the complex social hierarchy of the duck population with the kind of detail usually reserved for nature documentaries. Selena listened with what appeared to be genuine interest, asking questions and laughing at Lily's observations. Noah hung back slightly, watching them interact. Watching Selena, this woman who commanded boardrooms and negotiated million-dollar deals, sitting cross-legged on the grass, tearing bread into pieces, while a 7-year-old explained the difference between mallards and wood ducks. That's the bossy one, Lily pointed at a drake with iridescent green plumage. See how he pushes the other ducks away? He does seem very confident, Selena agreed. She tossed a piece of bread and the drake snatched it midair. Like a CEO duck. What's a CEO? Someone who runs a company, makes big decisions, tells other people what to do. Lily wrinkled her nose. That sounds boring. Sometimes it is, Selena said, and Noah heard real feeling in those words. Sometimes I wish I could just feed ducks instead. You can feed ducks anytime, Lily said with the simple logic of childhood. We come here every Sunday. You could come with us if you want. Selena glanced up at Noah, something unreadable in her eyes. I'd like that. They spent an hour at the pond, bread disappearing piece by piece until the bag was empty and the ducks had grown bored with them. Lily showed Selena her favorite climbing tree, the bench where she and Noah ate ice cream when they could afford it, the spot where she'd once found a caterpillar that she'd tried to keep as a pet. Daddy said I couldn't keep it, Lily explained seriously, because it needed to be free to turn into a butterfly. Your dad sounds wise, Selena said. He is. He knows everything. Lily looked at Noah with absolute faith, and Noah felt the weight of that trust like a physical thing. Can we get ice cream? Noah checked his wallet, doing quick math. Not today, baby girl. Maybe next week. I could get us ice cream, Selena offered quietly. No, Noah said, more sharply than he intended. Then, softer. Thank you, but no. Selena nodded, understanding passing between them. This was his world, his rules, his daughter. She was a guest here. Tell you what, Noah said to Lily, why don't you go play on the swings for a bit? I need to talk to Selena about grown-up stuff. Boring grown-up stuff? The most boring, Noah confirmed. Lily ran off toward the playground, and Noah and Selena sat down on a bench that overlooked both the pond and the swing set where Lily was already flying high, her laughter carrying on the autumn breeze. She's wonderful, Selena said softly. You've done an amazing job with her. I'm doing the best I can, Noah said. Some days that feels like enough. Most days it doesn't. She adores you, that's obvious. Yeah, well, I'm all she's got. Noah watched Lily swing higher, her hair streaming behind her. Her mom left when she was 2, postpartum depression that turned into something else, something neither of us knew how to handle. One day I came home from work and she was just gone. Left a note saying she couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't be a mother. Couldn't be a wife, just couldn't. I'm sorry, Selena said. Don't be. She made the right choice, honestly. You can't force someone to want a life they don't want. Noah's hands tightened on the bench, but it meant I had to figure out how to be enough for both of us. How to be mom and dad and breadwinner and nurse and teacher and everything else a kid needs. Is that why you took my offer? For her? Everything I do is for her. Noah looked at Selena directly. The money, the job, keeping us fed and housed, it's all for Lily. So when you showed up offering $25,000 to pretend to be your boyfriend for 5 days, I didn't see it as selling out. I saw it as 5 days of work that could give my daughter a better life. And now? Selena asked quietly. What do you see it as now? Noah thought about the gala, about standing up to Richard, about dancing with Selena while the world watched, about inviting her here to meet Lily, to see his real life stripped of all pretense. Now I don't know, he admitted, because it stopped feeling like pretend somewhere along the way, and that scares the hell out of me. Why? Because people from your world don't end up with people from mine. Not really. Not in ways that last. Noah gestured at the park, at the apartment buildings beyond, at the whole geography of his life. This is my reality, Selena. Working class neighborhood, paycheck to paycheck, worrying about whether I can afford the good cereal. You live in a different universe, and eventually that gap becomes too much. You're talking about Trevor, Selena said. I'm talking about reality, about what happens when the novelty wears off and you remember that I can't take you to fancy restaurants or jet off to Paris for the weekend or understand half the conversations at your dinner parties. Selena was quiet for a long moment, watching Lily on the swings. Then she said, My father built hard industries from nothing, started in a garage, worked 80-hour weeks, sacrificed everything to build something that mattered. When I was growing up, we lived in a neighborhood not that different from this one. My clothes came from discount stores. We ate pasta 6 nights a week because it was cheap. Noah looked at her in surprise. Then the company took off, Selena continued. Suddenly, we had money, real money. We moved to the right neighborhood, joined the right clubs, sent me to the right schools, and my father changed. Started caring more about perception than people. Started measuring relationships by their utility. By the time he died and left me the company, I'd learned all his lessons about how to succeed in that world. What are you saying? I'm saying I remember what it's like to live with less, to count pennies and make hard choices. I'm saying I know exactly what I'd be choosing if I chose you. Selena turned to face him fully. The question is whether you're brave enough to let me make that choice. Before Noah could respond, Lily came running back, breathless and flushed with exercise. Selena! Do you know how to pump on the swings? Daddy's teaching me, but I can't go as high as the big kids. I haven't been on a swing in probably 20 years, Selena admitted. Then you probably forgot. Come on, I'll show you. Lily grabbed Selena's hand and tugged her toward the playground. Selena looked back at Noah with an expression that was half panic, half delight. He shrugged, smiling, and followed them over. For the next hour, Noah watched a billionaire CEO learn to swing again, watched her laugh as Lily challenged her to pumping contests, watched her professional composure crack completely as she let herself just play. Other parents at the park stared. This woman was clearly from a different economic bracket, her clothes too nice, her bearing too polished. But Selena didn't seem to notice or care, too focused on Lily's instructions about pointing your toes at the top of the arc. "You're getting it!" Lily shouted from the swing next to her. "Look, Daddy, she's getting it." "I see that," Noah called back, his chest tight with an emotion he couldn't quite name. Eventually, they tired themselves out and collapsed on the grass near the swings, all three of them, breathing hard and grinning like idiots. "That was fun," Lily announced. "You're good at swinging once you remember how." "I had a good teacher," Selena said, and the warmth in her voice was unmistakable. They lay there watching clouds drift overhead, Lily making up stories about what shapes she saw. Noah felt his phone buzz in his pocket but ignored it. This moment felt too precious to break, too fragile to risk. But reality had never cared much about Noah's wishes. "Daddy, your phone is buzzing a lot," Lily observed. Noah pulled it out reluctantly. 5 missed calls from a number he didn't recognize. 3 voicemails. A string of texts from Selena's assistant. "What's wrong?" Selena asked, sitting up. Noah's stomach dropped as he read the messages. "Richard, he's made his move." Selena grabbed her own phone, her face going pale as she scrolled through notifications. He released the security footage, posted it online. It's everywhere. Noah opened one of the links and felt the world tilt. There they were, caught on grainy supermarket cameras. Selena grabbing his hand, leaning in close, their whispered conversation visible even if the audio wasn't. The footage was cut and edited to make it look as calculated as possible, with a caption that read, "Hart Industries CEO." Selena Hart caught staging fake relationship with hired actor, full expose Monday. "He didn't wait for the board meeting," Selena said, her voice hollow. "He's destroying me in the court of public opinion first." "How bad is it?" Selena showed him her phone. The video had already been shared thousands of times. Comments ranged from shocked to gleeful to viciously judgmental. Business news sites were picking it up. Her company's stock price was trending downward. "It's bad," she whispered. "It's really bad." Noah looked at Lily, who was watching them with growing concern, picking up on the tension even if she didn't understand it. "We should go," he said quietly. "Lily, come on, baby girl. Time to head home." "But we were having fun," Lily protested. "I know, but Selena has to go deal with some work stuff, and we need to get lunch." They walked back to Noah's apartment in silence, Lily chattering between them about the ducks, oblivious to the storm gathering around them. When they reached his building, Selena stopped. "I should go," she said. "I need to do damage control. Talk to my PR team. Figure out how to salvage this before the board meeting Tuesday." "What do you need from me?" Noah asked. "Nothing. You've done enough. More than enough." Selena's smile was broken. "I'll have my assistant transfer the rest of your payment by end of day. Consider our arrangement complete." "Wait, what?" "It's over, Noah. Richard won. He proved we were faking it, and now anything we say or do will just look like we're doubling down on the lie." Selena's eyes were bright with unshed tears. "I won't drag you through this. You have Lily to think about. This needs to end now before it touches her." "Selena, thank you for this morning, for letting me meet her, for giving me a few hours of normal." Selena stepped back, putting distance between them. "It was real for me. I need you to know that. Whatever this started as, it became real." "Then don't end it," Noah said. "Fight back. We'll figure something out." "There's nothing to figure out. He has video proof that we started this as a transaction. The only thing I can do now is minimize the damage." She looked at Lily, who was watching them with confusion. "Take care of your daughter. She's lucky to have you." Selena turned and walked away before Noah could respond, disappearing around the corner without looking back. Noah stood frozen, Lily's hand in his, watching the space where Selena had been. "Is she coming back?" Lily asked in a small voice. "I don't know, baby girl," Noah said honestly. "I really don't know." They went inside and Noah turned on the TV while he made Lily lunch, half listening to her talk about the park while his mind raced. The afternoon news was already covering the story. Footage of him and Selena at the supermarket played on loop while talking heads debated corporate ethics and whether a CEO's personal life should matter. His phone rang. Unknown number. Noah almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. Noah Carter? A woman's voice, professional and cold. Yeah? This is Jennifer Walsh from the Daily Herald. I'm writing a piece about your relationship with Selena Hart. Would you care to comment? No. We have sources saying you were paid $25,000 to pose as her boyfriend. Can you confirm or deny? Noah's jaw tightened. No comment. Mr. Carter, the truth is going to come out. It would be better for you if you controlled your own narrative. Did Selena Hart pay you for sexual favors? Noah hung up, his hand shaking. The phone rang again immediately. Different number. He turned it off. Daddy? What's wrong? Lily was watching him with wide, scared eyes. Nothing, baby. Just work stuff. Noah forced a smile. How about we have a movie afternoon? You pick. They spent the rest of Sunday curled up on the couch watching animated movies, but Noah barely registered what was on screen. His mind kept circling back to Selena's face when she walked away, to the way she'd looked on the swings with Lily, completely free of the armor she wore in her regular life, to the realization that somewhere along the way, this had stopped being about money and started being about something he didn't have words for. That night, after Lily was asleep, Noah sat in the dark apartment and finally turned his phone back on. It exploded with notifications, missed calls, texts, voicemails from numbers he didn't recognize. Journalists, probably, maybe lawyers, people wanting to profit from his connection to Selena's scandal. But buried in all that noise was a single text from Selena, sent at 4:47 p.m. I'm sorry. For everything. You and Lily deserved better than getting caught up in my mess. The money should be in your account. Use it well. Maybe someday we'll run into each other at a supermarket again, and we can laugh about this. S. Noah stared at the message for a long time. Then he opened his banking app and saw that, yes, the money had been transferred. All $25,000 exactly as promised. It should have felt like victory, like he'd won. He'd gotten exactly what he'd been hired to do, play boyfriend for a few days, collect his payment, walk away with enough money to change his life. Instead, it felt like losing something he hadn't realized he wanted until it was already gone. Noah pulled up Selena's number, typed and deleted 3 different messages before settling on, "Don't give up. You're stronger than Richard. You're stronger than anyone I've ever met." He hit send before he could overthink it, then sat in the darkness waiting for a response that didn't come. Monday morning arrived gray and cold, matching Noah's mood. He got Lily ready for school on autopilot, made her breakfast, walked her to the bus stop. Other parents were staring at him. One mother he usually chatted with turned away when he tried to say hello. Mr. Carter? The school bus driver, an older woman named Helen, who'd been driving the route for 20 years, stopped him as Lily climbed aboard. Is everything all right? I saw the news. Everything's fine, Noah lied. Helen's expression said she didn't believe him, but was too kind to press. Well, you let me know if you need anything. Lily's a good kid. You're a good dad. Don't let people tell you otherwise. Noah nodded, not trusting his voice, and watched the bus pull away. He drove to Patterson Warehouse for his shift, trying to ignore the knot in his stomach. Richard had said Noah's name was on a layoff list. If that was true, today was when he'd find out. The warehouse floor felt different. Conversation stopped when Noah walked past. His supervisor, a man named Dave who'd always been friendly, avoided eye contact. When break time came, Noah sat alone in the corner while the usual crew gathered on the other side of the room, their voices low, but their glances frequent. At 2 p.m., Dave appeared at Noah's station with the look of a man about to deliver bad news. Carter, I need you in the office. Noah's stomach dropped. What's this about? Just come with me. The office was small and windowless, occupied by Patterson's regional manager, a thin man in his 50s named Martin Reeves. He didn't stand when Noah entered, didn't offer a handshake, just gestured to a chair with the kind of cold efficiency that told Noah everything he needed to know. Mr. Carter, I'll be direct. Due to restructuring, we're reducing our warehouse staff by 15%. Your position has been eliminated effective immediately. This is about the news, Noah said flatly. About Selena Hart. This is about operational efficiency, Martin said, but his eyes said otherwise. You'll receive 2 weeks severance pay and your benefits will continue through the end of the month. We need you to clear out your locker and leave the premises within the hour. You're firing me because I was on TV with a billionaire. We're laying you off due to business needs, Martin corrected, pulling out a folder. Sign here, here, and here. These acknowledge you've received the termination paperwork and agree not to pursue legal action. Noah stared at the papers, thought about Richard saying he'd made a phone call, thought about how easily powerful people could destroy lives without even getting their hands dirty. What if I don't sign? Then you'll receive no severance and we'll contest your unemployment claim. Martin's expression was clinical. I'd advise signing, Mr. Carter. It's the best outcome available to you. Noah signed, each stroke of the pen feeling like a defeat. 20 minutes later, he was walking out of Patterson Warehouse with a cardboard box containing his work boots, his spare uniform shirt, and a coffee mug Lily had given him for Father's Day. He sat in his car in the parking lot and called Selena. The phone rang 4 times before going to voicemail. "It's Noah," he said after the beep. "Richard wasn't bluffing. I just got fired. I know you said this is over, but I think we need to talk. We need to figure out what we're actually fighting and how to fight back. Because running away didn't save my job, and I'm guessing it won't save your company either. Call me." He hung up and drove home through afternoon traffic, trying to figure out how to tell Lily that Daddy had lost his job. That the money he'd been so proud of earning might have to last them a lot longer than he'd planned. When he got home, there was a black town car parked outside his building. Marcus was leaning against it, looking uncomfortable in the rundown neighborhood. "Mr. Carter," Marcus said as Noah approached. "Miss Hart asked me to deliver this to you." He handed Noah a thick manila envelope. Noah opened it to find a printed letter on Hart Industries letterhead. "Noah," it read in Selena's precise handwriting, "I heard about your job. I'm sorry, this is my fault. Enclosed is a check for $50,000, enough to get you through until you find new work, plus extra for what you've lost because of me. Please take it. Please use it for Lily. She deserves a father who isn't crushed by debt and worry. I wish things could have been different. I wish I was braver. Take care of yourself." Noah looked in the envelope and found a cashier's check for exactly $50,000. "She wanted me to make sure you got it," Marcus said quietly, "and to tell you that she understands if you never want to hear from her again." "Where is she?" "At the office. She's been there since yesterday afternoon trying to prepare for tomorrow's board meeting. It's not going well." Noah stared at the check, at the number that could change everything for him and Lily. Then he looked at Marcus. "Take me to her." Marcus blinked. "Sir?" "Take me to Selena, right now." "I don't think that's a good idea. The building is surrounded by press. They'll tear you apart." "I don't care," Noah said. "Either you drive me or I take a bus. But I'm going either way." Marcus studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Get in." The ride to Hart Industries took 30 minutes through rush hour traffic. Marcus was right about the press. News vans lined the street outside the gleaming glass tower, cameras and reporters forming a gauntlet at the entrance. "Back entrance?" Marcus suggested. "Front," Noah said. "I'm done hiding." He climbed out of the car and immediately cameras swung toward him. Questions erupted like fireworks. "Mr. Carter, is it true you were paid to date Miss Hart? Did you know the relationship was being recorded? Have you been in contact with her since the story broke?" Noah ignored them all and pushed through the crowd toward the entrance. Security guards recognized him from somewhere, probably the news, and hustled him inside before the press could follow. The lobby was marble and chrome and completely intimidating. A receptionist behind a desk looked up in alarm. "I need to see Selena Hart," Noah said. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but she'll want to see me. Tell her Noah Carter is here." The receptionist made a call, her eyes widening as she listened to whoever was on the other end. "Ms. Hart's assistant will be right down." 2 minutes later, a woman in her 30s appeared, looking harried and exhausted. "Mr. Carter, I'm Vanessa Chen, Ms. Hart's executive assistant. She's in a very important meeting right now. Perhaps you could come back tomorrow?" "No," Noah said. "I need to see her now, please." Something in his voice must have convinced her, because Vanessa nodded. "Follow me." They took an elevator to the 20th floor, stepping out into a space that screamed wealth and power. Vanessa led him down a hallway to a conference room where voices could be heard arguing behind closed doors. "She's in there with the PR team and legal counsel," Vanessa said. "I really shouldn't interrupt." "Then don't. Just open the door and let me walk in." Vanessa hesitated, then knocked once and pushed the door open before anyone inside could respond. The conversation stopped dead. Selena was at the head of a long table, surrounded by a dozen people in expensive suits. Her eyes went wide when she saw Noah. "What are you doing here?" she asked. Noah held up the envelope with her check. "I came to return this." The silence in the conference room was absolute. A dozen pairs of eyes swiveled between Noah and Selena, the tension thick enough to choke on. One of the lawyers, a gray-haired man who looked like he billed by the second, cleared his throat. "Ms. Hart, who is this person?" "Noah Carter," Selena said quietly, her eyes never leaving Noah's face. "Everyone, please give us the room." "Selena, we're in the middle of strategy for tomorrow," a woman in a navy suit protested. "The board meeting is in 14 hours and we still haven't—" "I said give us the room." There was steel in Selena's voice now, the CEO tone that didn't invite argument. "All of you, out, now." The exodus was reluctant but complete. Lawyers and PR consultants filed out, some shooting Noah looks that ranged from curious to hostile. The gray-haired lawyer paused at the door. "You have 15 minutes, he said to Selena. "Then we need to finalize your statement." The door closed behind him, leaving Noah and Selena alone in a conference room that could have held 50 people. The silence stretched between them like a chasm. "You shouldn't be here," Selena said finally. "The press saw you come in. They'll crucify you." "They already did. I got fired today." Noah set the envelope on the polished conference table. "Thanks to Richard's phone call, just like he promised." Selena's face crumpled. "Noah, I'm so sorry. That's why I sent the money, to help make up for what you lost because of me." "I don't want your guilt money," Noah said. "I want to know why you're giving up." "I'm not giving up. I'm accepting reality. Richard won. He proved we were faking it, my credibility is destroyed, and the board is going to vote me out tomorrow no matter what I say." Selena's voice was hollow, defeated. "The best I can do now is negotiate a decent exit package and try to salvage what's left of my reputation." "That's not the woman I met," Noah said. "The woman I met grabbed a stranger's hand in a supermarket because she refused to let her ex-husband control her. The woman I met stood on a stage at a charity gala and introduced me to her world, even though she knew they'd judge her for it. The woman I met sat on swings with my daughter and laughed like she didn't have a care in the world." "That woman was naive," Selena said bitterly. "That woman thought she could have something real for once. She was wrong." Noah walked around the conference table until he was standing directly in front of her. "You told me not to apologize for who I am, that the second I acted ashamed, they'd tear me apart. Remember that? This is different." "How? Because you're rich and I'm not? Because you run a company and I just got fired from a warehouse? Those are just circumstances, Selena. They're not who we are." Noah took her hands, feeling them tremble in his grip. "You told me to own it, so I'm telling you the same thing. Own what happened. Own that you were desperate and scared and made a choice that seemed like the only option. Own that it started as a transaction, and then own what it became." "What did it become?" Selena's voice broke on the question. "Real," Noah said simply. "Messy and complicated and completely insane, but real. I felt it when you danced with me, when you met Lily, when you texted me at midnight because you couldn't sleep and wanted to talk to someone who saw you as more than a CEO." Selena pulled her hands away, wrapping her arms around herself. "It doesn't matter what I felt. Richard has proof that it started as a lie. No one will believe anything else." "Then don't try to convince them it wasn't a lie," Noah said. "Tell them the truth. All of it." "The truth will destroy me. The truth will set you free." Noah moved closer. "You're already destroyed, Selena. Your reputation is in ruins. The board is going to vote you out, and you're sitting in this conference room planning damage control that won't work because you're fighting on Richard's terms. He wants you to deny and deflect and protect yourself. That's what he expects. So do the opposite." "What are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting you walk into that board meeting tomorrow and tell them everything. That you were scared and desperate and grabbed a stranger's hand because your ex-husband was stalking you in a grocery store. That you paid me to pretend to be your boyfriend because you thought it was the only way to take back some power in a situation where you felt powerless. That yes, it started as a transaction, but it became something neither of us expected. Selena shook her head. They'll crucify me for that level of honesty. Maybe, Noah agreed. Or maybe they'll see a human being instead of the ice queen Richard has been painting you as. Maybe they'll recognize someone fighting to survive in a world that's rigged against her. Maybe they'll respect you for having the courage to tell the truth when lying would be easier. And what about you? Selena asked. If I admit we started this as a transaction, it confirms that I paid you. That makes you look like someone who was desperate enough to take money to help a stranger, Noah finished. Yeah, I know, but I was desperate. I am desperate, and I'm tired of pretending otherwise. Let them judge me. At least they'll be judging the truth. Selena stared at him for a long moment, and Noah could see her mind working, weighing options, calculating risks. Then something in her expression shifted, the careful control cracking to reveal the exhaustion and fear underneath. I'm terrified, she whispered. Me too, Noah admitted, but I'd rather be terrified and honest than safe and fake. And I think deep down, so would you. Before Selena could respond, the conference room door burst open. A woman in her 60s swept in, elegant and commanding in a way that reminded Noah immediately of Selena. She was followed by Vanessa, who looked apologetic and overwhelmed. I'm sorry, Ms. Hart, Vanessa said. She insisted. Mother, Selena said, and Noah heard years of complicated history in that single word. What are you doing here? Saving you from yourself, apparently, the woman said. Her eyes landed on Noah. You must be the warehouse worker, the one Richard is so obsessed with destroying. Noah Carter, Noah said, extending his hand even though he was pretty sure she wouldn't take it. She surprised him by shaking it firmly. Victoria Hart, Selena's mother and former chairwoman of the board. She released his hand and turned to her daughter. I've been watching this circus from my retirement in the Hamptons, and I've had enough. We need to talk. Alone. Mother, I don't have time for— Make time, Victoria said, her voice brooking no argument. Mr. Carter, would you mind waiting outside? This will only take a moment. Noah looked at Selena, who nodded reluctantly. He stepped into the hallway where Vanessa was hovering anxiously. Is she always like that? Noah asked. Mrs. Hart? Yes. She retired from active involvement in the company 5 years ago, but she still owns 15% of the stock. Vanessa checked her watch. This is actually good timing. If anyone can talk sense into Ms. Hart, it's her mother. Through the closed door, Noah could hear raised voices, though not the words. The argument lasted exactly 7 minutes before the door opened and Victoria emerged, her expression unreadable. Mr. Carter, a word of advice, she said. My daughter is brilliant and strong and completely incapable of asking for help when she needs it most. If you care about her at all, don't let her push you away. I'm trying not to, Noah said. Victoria studied him with sharp eyes that missed nothing. You're not what I expected. Richard painted you as an opportunistic gold digger. You seem more like an idealistic fool. Is that better or worse? Better, Victoria said. Fools can be trusted. Gold diggers can't. She patted his arm. Take care of my daughter, Mr. Carter, and don't let her settle for less than she deserves. She swept away down the hallway, leaving Noah confused and strangely hopeful. He stepped back into the conference room to find Selena sitting at the table, her head in her hands. What did she say? Noah asked. That I'm being a coward, Selena said, without looking up. That my father would be ashamed of me for running away from a fight. That I'm better than Richard, and I need to start acting like it. She finally raised her head, and her eyes were red but dry. She also said she has information that could help us. Evidence that Richard has been embezzling from the company for the last 2 years. Noah's pulse quickened. What kind of evidence? Financial records? Email chains? Proof that he's been siphoning money through shell corporations and bribing board members to vote his way. Selena's hands clenched into fists. My mother has been investigating him quietly for months. She was waiting for the right moment to reveal it, and apparently tomorrow's board meeting is that moment. Why didn't she tell you before? Because she wanted to see if I'd fight back on my own first, if I'd find my spine without needing her to rescue me. Selena laughed bitterly. Classic Victoria Hart. Even her help comes with a test. But she's willing to give you the evidence? Yes. On one condition. Selena met Noah's eyes. That I stop hiding behind corporate speak and PR strategies and just tell the truth tomorrow. All of it. No matter how ugly or embarrassing or damaging it might be. That's what I've been saying. I know, and you were right. My mother was right. I can't win this fight by playing Richard's games. I need to change the rules entirely. Selena stood up, and Noah could see the CEO emerging again, but different this time. Not armored and untouchable, but grounded and real. I'm going to do it. I'm going to walk into that board meeting tomorrow and tell them everything. The supermarket, the arrangement, how it started and what it became, and then I'm going to present evidence that Richard Ashford is a criminal who's been stealing from this company. What do you need from me? Noah asked. I need you to be there, Selena said, at the board meeting. I need you to stand with me when I tell them the truth. Because if I'm going down, I want to go down fighting, and I can't do that alone. Noah thought about Lily, about the media circus that would erupt, about the fact that he'd just lost his job and was volunteering to walk into another disaster. Then he thought about Selena on the swings, laughing without fear, about the way she'd looked at him when they danced, about the text she'd sent saying it had become real. What time should I be there, Simaz? He asked. Relief flooded Selena's face. 10 a.m., Hart Industries main conference room. Wear the tuxedo if you still have it. I gave it back to the rental company. Then wear whatever makes you feel strong, Selena said, because tomorrow is going to be brutal. They stood there in the conference room, the weight of what they were about to do settling over them like snow. Then Selena closed the distance between them and pulled Noah into an embrace that was tight and desperate and completely unguarded. Thank you, she whispered against his shoulder, for not giving up on me when I gave up on myself. Someone told me once that I belong anywhere I choose to stand, Noah said. I'm choosing to stand with you. They held each other for a long moment before Selena pulled back, wiping at her eyes and straightening her shoulders. I need to call my mother and get those files. You should go home, get some rest. Tomorrow is going to be the fight of our lives. Selena? Noah caught her hand before she could turn away. Whatever happens tomorrow, I want you to know something. Meeting you, even with all the chaos and complications, is the best thing that's happened to me in years. You made me remember that I'm more than just a struggling single dad. You made me feel like I mattered. Selena's smile was tremulous but genuine. You do matter, Noah Carter, more than you know. Noah left the building through the back entrance this time, avoiding the press. Marcus was waiting with the car, and they drove back to Noah's apartment in comfortable silence. When they arrived, Marcus turned in his seat. For what it's worth, sir, I think you're good for her. Ms. Hart has been running on empty for a long time. You remind her what it's like to actually live instead of just survive. Thanks, Marcus, Noah said. That means a lot. He climbed the stairs to his apartment and found Mrs. Chen waiting outside his door with Lily. The news vans came by, Mrs. Chen said quietly. 3 of them, knocking on doors, asking questions. I kept Lily inside my place until they left. Thank you, Noah said, his chest tight with gratitude. I'm sorry you got dragged into this. No dragging, just helping a neighbor. Mrs. Chen patted Lily's shoulder. This one was worried about you, though. Lily launched herself at Noah the moment Mrs. Chen released her. Daddy, where were you? The news people were asking about Selena and you, and I didn't know what to tell them. Noah swept her up, holding her tight. I'm sorry, baby girl. I should have been here. Everything's okay now. Is Selena okay? Are you still friends? We're still friends, Noah said, carrying her into the apartment. And tomorrow I'm going to help her with something really important. That means you're going to stay with Mrs. Chen for a few hours, okay? Is it dangerous? Lily's eyes were wide. No, just complicated. Grown-up stuff. Noah set her down and knelt to her level. But I need you to know something. The next few days might be weird. People might ask you questions or say things about me or Selena. And I need you to remember that no matter what anyone says, I love you, and I'm doing my best. Can you remember that? Lily nodded seriously, then threw her arms around his neck. I love you too, Daddy, and I think Selena is nice. She's good at swinging. Noah laughed despite everything, holding his daughter close and trying to memorize this moment of peace before the storm. That night, after Lily was asleep, Noah's phone rang. Selena's name on the screen. "Hey," he answered. "Hey." She sounded tired, but calmer. "I got the files from my mother. They're damning." Email chains where Richard discusses moving money. Bank statements showing transfers to offshore accounts. Testimony from a board member he bribed who's willing to flip. It's enough to destroy him. That's good news. It should be. But I keep thinking about what happens after. Even if we win tomorrow, even if Richard goes down and I keep my job, what then? Selena paused. We'll still be from different worlds. You'll still be looking for work while I run a billion-dollar company. The media will still tear us apart for every perceived difference. How do we make this work? Noah thought about it, really thought about it, about the practical realities of dating someone whose life existed in a completely different stratosphere, about the judgment and the scrutiny and the constant awareness that he didn't belong. Honestly, I don't know, he admitted. I've never done anything like this before. I don't have a roadmap for how a warehouse worker dates a CEO, but I know that when I'm with you, I feel like myself in a way I haven't felt in years, and that's worth fighting for, even if I don't know exactly how the fight goes. What about Lily? What about her? She's going to be part of this too, part of the scrutiny and the judgment. Are you okay with that? Noah thought about Lily asking if Selena was coming back, about the way she'd insisted Selena come back to the park next Sunday. Lily liked you. She doesn't like most people. And when I asked her what she thought about me having a friend who was a girl, you know what she said? What? She said everyone needs friends, and it doesn't matter if they're boys or girls or have lots of money or no money. Friends are just people who make you happy. Noah smiled in the darkness. She's 7 years old, and she's already smarter about this stuff than either of us. Selena laughed, a real sound that made Noah's chest warm. She really is. Okay, tomorrow we tell the truth and let the chips fall where they may. Together, Noah said. Together, Selena echoed. Get some sleep, Noah. Tomorrow we either save everything or lose it all. She hung up, and Noah lay in the dark apartment listening to the city sounds outside his window. Somewhere across town, Selena was probably still awake, preparing for the biggest fight of her professional life. Somewhere else, Richard Ashford was probably planning his victory speech, confident that he'd already won. And here was Noah, a single father from the South Side who'd stumbled into a billionaire's war and somehow ended up at the center of it. It was crazy. It was impossible. It was exactly the kind of thing that never worked out in real life. But Noah had built a life on impossible things, had raised a daughter alone when everyone said it couldn't be done, had kept them fed and housed through endless shifts and mounting debt, had learned to hope even when hope seemed foolish. Tomorrow he'd walk into a boardroom full of people who thought he didn't belong and stand beside a woman who'd grabbed his hand in a supermarket and changed everything. Tomorrow they'd tell the truth and face whatever came next. Tuesday morning arrived cold and clear. Noah dressed in his only suit, the one he'd worn to job interviews and Lily's mother's funeral, worn at the elbows and tight in the shoulders but clean and pressed. He looked in the mirror and saw exactly what he was, a working-class man about to walk into a room full of millionaires and tell them his story. Mrs. Chen came over at 8 to watch Lily, who was already dressed for school and eating cereal at the kitchen table. Be brave, Daddy, Lily said when Noah kissed her goodbye. I will, baby girl. I love you. Love you too. Tell Selena I said hi. Marcus picked Noah up at 9:15. The ride to Hard Industries was quiet, both of them lost in their own thoughts. The media presence had tripled since yesterday, cameras everywhere, reporters shouting questions as the car pulled up to the entrance. Ready, sir? Marcus asked. Not even a little bit, Noah admitted, but let's do it anyway. He climbed out of the car and immediately the chaos erupted. Questions pelted him from all sides, cameras flashing, microphones shoved in his face. Mr. Carter, is it true you were paid to date Ms. Hart? Are you going to testify at the board meeting? What's your response to allegations that you're a gold digger? Noah kept walking, security guards forming a wedge around him as they pushed through the crowd. Inside the lobby, Vanessa was waiting. Ms. Hart is already upstairs, she said. The board is gathering now. You'll be called in when it's time. She led him to a small waiting room adjacent to the main conference room. Through the walls, Noah could hear voices, though not words. The board was assembling. The battle was about to begin. At 9:58, the door opened and Selena appeared. She was wearing a charcoal gray suit, her hair pulled back severely, her expression carefully composed. But when she saw Noah, some of that composure cracked. "You came," she said. "Of course I came." Noah stood and took her hands. "How are you holding up?" "Terrified, determined, ready to burn it all down if I have to." She squeezed his hands. "The board is seated. Richard looks smug. My mother is sitting in the back with a folder full of evidence and an expression that could freeze fire. It's time." "Then let's go," Noah said. They walked into the conference room together, and every head turned. The room was massive, dominated by a long table where 15 board members sat. Richard was there, looking confident and predatory. Patricia Whitmore was there, her diamond-encrusted fingers steepled in front of her. Victoria Hart sat against the back wall, separate from the board but present, her eyes sharp and assessing. Selena took her seat at the head of the table. Noah stood beside her, refusing to sit, refusing to diminish his presence. The chairman, an elderly man named Douglas Pemberton, cleared his throat. "This emergency board meeting is now in session. Ms. Hart, you requested this meeting to address recent allegations regarding your personal conduct and its impact on the company. The floor is yours." Selena stood slowly, her hands gripping the edge of the table. Noah could see them trembling slightly, but her voice when she spoke was steady. "Thank you, Mr. Pemberton. Members of the board, I'm going to tell you a story. It's not a comfortable story. It's not the kind of story a CEO usually tells in a boardroom. But it's the truth, and I'm tired of hiding from it." She took a breath, and Noah felt the room lean forward. 6 days ago, I went to a discount supermarket to buy groceries. While I was there, my ex-husband followed me and cornered me in an aisle. He threatened me, told me he was going to destroy my career, that he had enough votes to remove me as CEO, that I should resign before he humiliated me publicly. Selena's voice grew stronger. I was scared, not just scared, terrified, because Richard has been systematically undermining me for 2 years, and I knew he had the power to do exactly what he threatened. Richard shifted in his seat, his expression darkening. "So I did something desperate," Selena continued. "I grabbed the hand of a complete stranger who happened to be standing nearby. I asked him to pretend to be my boyfriend, and yes, I offered to pay him for it. $25,000 for 5 days of playing a role." Murmurs rippled through the board. Patricia Whitmore's eyebrows rose. Douglas Pemberton made a note on his legal pad. "That stranger was Noah Carter." Selena gestured to Noah. "A single father working at Patterson Warehouse, drowning in medical debt, trying to provide for his 7-year-old daughter. I chose him because he was desperate enough to say yes and real enough that no one would believe he was fake." "This is unconscionable," one of the board members said. "You're admitting to orchestrating a fraudulent relationship?" "I'm admitting to being human," Selena shot back, "to being scared and desperate and making a choice that seemed like my only option. Yes, it started as a transaction. Yes, I paid Noah to attend events with me and play a role. But here's what Richard didn't count on when he released that security footage to destroy me. He didn't count on what that arrangement would become." She looked at Noah, and the vulnerability in her eyes was breathtaking. "It became real," she said simply. "Not immediately, not dramatically, but gradually, through conversations and moments of honesty, it became something neither of us expected. It became friendship. It became trust. It became something I didn't have words for, but knew I wanted to protect." "This is a touching story," Richard interrupted, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "But it doesn't change the fact that you orchestrated a fraud. You lied to this board, to the public, to our shareholders. You're not fit to lead this company." "You want to talk about fraud?" Selena's voice turned to ice. "Let's talk about fraud, Richard. Let's talk about the $2.3 million you've embezzled from Hart Industries over the last 2 years." The room exploded into chaos. Richard's face went white, then red. Board members erupted in questions and exclamations. Douglas Pemberton pounded his gavel. "Order! Miss Hart, those are serious allegations. Do you have proof?" "I have more than proof." Selena nodded to her mother, who stood and approached the table with her folder. "I have bank statements showing transfers from company accounts to offshore entities controlled by Richard. I have email chains where he discusses moving money. I have testimony from board members he bribed to vote his way. And I have a forensic accounting report that traces every dollar. Victoria Hart handed the folder to Douglas Pemberton, who opened it with shaking hands. His face grew graver with each page he turned. If this is authentic, Pemberton looked at Richard. Mr. Ashford, what is your response to these allegations? Richard stood, his composure slipping. This is a desperate attack from a desperate woman. Selina is trying to distract from her own misconduct by inventing charges against me. Then you won't mind if we bring in the forensic accountant to explain these transfers? Selina said coldly. Or the 3 board members who've signed affidavits confessing to accepting bribes in exchange for supporting your agenda, Victoria added from the back of the room. Richard's confident mask crumbled. You can't prove any of this. We already have, Selina said. The question is whether you want to resign quietly or wait for the criminal charges. The silence that followed was devastating. Richard looked around the table at board members who wouldn't meet his eyes, at the evidence spreading across the conference table, at the trap closing around him. This isn't over, he said finally, his voice shaking with rage. You think you've won, but all you've done is confirm that you're willing to lie and manipulate to get what you want. You paid someone to love you, Selina. What does that say about you? Noah had been silent through the entire meeting, standing beside Selina like a statue. But at those words, something in him snapped. I need to say something, he said. All eyes turned to him. Selina looked surprised, but she nodded. My name is Noah Carter, he began, his voice steady despite his pounding heart. 6 days ago, I was standing in a supermarket trying to figure out how to buy milk I couldn't afford. I was exhausted and scared and certain I was about to lose everything. Then this woman grabbed my hand and offered me a lifeline. So yes, I took money to pretend to be her boyfriend. And yes, that makes me look bad. Makes me look desperate and opportunistic and exactly like the kind of person who doesn't belong in a room like this. He paused, looking around the table at faces ranging from sympathetic to contemptuous. But here's what you need to understand, Noah continued. Selina didn't pay me to love her. She paid me to stand beside her when she felt alone, to give her some breathing room from a man who'd been stalking and threatening her. And somewhere along the way, standing beside her stopped being about money and started being about recognizing someone who was fighting battles. I understood. Noah's eyes found Richard. You want to make this about Selina's character? Fine. Let's talk about character. Let's talk about a woman who built a company while everyone bet she'd fail, who worked twice as hard because she knew she'd be judged twice as critically, who grabbed a stranger's hand in a supermarket not because she was manipulative, but because she was out of options and you'd made sure of it. This is inappropriate, Richard started, but Douglas Pemberton held up a hand. Let him finish. Noah turned back to the board. I don't know anything about running companies or making business decisions, but I know about being a parent, about doing whatever it takes to protect what matters. And that's what Selina did. She protected herself the only way she knew how. If that makes her unfit to lead, then half the people in this room are unfit too, because I guarantee every single one of you has made desperate choices when you were backed into a corner. He stepped forward, his hands gripping the back of Selina's chair. So yes, condemn her for hiring me. Condemn her for starting this as a transaction. But don't pretend that makes her worse than a man who's been stealing from this company and bribing board members. Don't pretend there's any moral equivalence there. The silence that followed was different than before, thoughtful instead of shocked. Patricia Whitmore was the first to speak. Mr. Carter makes a valid point, she said slowly. While Ms. Hart's personal choices are questionable, they pale in comparison to criminal embezzlement and bribery. I move that we table discussion of Ms. Hart's relationship status and focus on Mr. Ashford's financial crimes. Seconded, another board member said. Douglas Pemberton looked at Richard. Mr. Ashford, in light of these allegations, I'm suspending your board membership pending a full investigation. You'll need to surrender your company access and devices immediately. You're making a mistake, Richard said, but his voice lacked conviction. The only mistake was trusting you, Victoria Hart said from the back of the room. Security is waiting outside to escort you from the building. I suggest you call your lawyer. Richard left the room escorted by 2 security guards, his footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. The board members sat stunned, processing what had just happened. Ms. Hart, Douglas Pemberton said finally, Your honesty today, while uncomfortable, is appreciated. However, the board will need time to discuss your future with the company in light of your admitted deception. I understand, Selena said. I'm prepared to accept whatever decision you make, but I want to be clear. I'm not ashamed of what I did. I'm not ashamed of asking for help when I needed it, and I'm not ashamed of Noah Carter standing beside me when no one else would. She reached back and found Noah's hand, threading her fingers through his in front of the entire board. If that makes me unfit to lead Hart Industries, then so be it, she continued. But I'd rather lose this job with my integrity intact than keep it by pretending to be something I'm not. Patricia Whitmore smiled, a real smile, not the sharp social mask Noah had seen at the gala. I, for one, appreciate the honesty. Douglas, I move that we take a 30-minute recess to review the evidence against Mr. Ashford and discuss Ms. Hart's position privately. Seconded, came multiple voices. Motion carries, Pemberton said. We'll reconvene at 11:30. Ms. Hart, Mr. Carter, please wait outside. Selena and Noah left the conference room together, still holding hands. In the hallway, Vanessa was waiting with water and the kind of anxiety that suggested she'd heard everything through the door. How bad is it? She asked. I have no idea, Selena admitted. I just told the board I orchestrated a fake relationship and my mother exposed my ex-husband as a criminal. It could go either way. Victoria Hart emerged from the conference room, her expression unreadable. Then she pulled Selena into an embrace that was brief but fierce. Your father would have been proud, she said. Not of the situation, but of how you handled it. You stood up and told the truth instead of hiding behind lawyers and PR spin. That takes real courage. I learned from the best, Selena said. Victoria turned to Noah. And you, Mr. Carter. That speech was either the bravest or stupidest thing I've ever witnessed in a boardroom. Possibly both. Probably both, Noah agreed. Take care of my daughter, Victoria said. She needs someone who sees her as more than a balance sheet. She left them there in the hallway, and Noah and Selena sank onto a bench together, exhausted and overwhelmed. Whatever happens, Selena said quietly, thank you for standing with me, for speaking up when you didn't have to, for being exactly who you are in a room designed to make people like you feel small. Someone told me once that I belong anywhere I choose to stand, Noah said. I chose to stand with you, no regrets. They sat in silence, hands intertwined, waiting for the board to decide their fate. 30 minutes felt like 3 hours, but finally the conference room door opened and Vanessa gestured them back inside. The board members had rearranged themselves slightly, their expressions ranging from thoughtful to stern. Douglas Pemberton cleared his throat. Ms. Hart, this board has reviewed the evidence against Richard Ashford and unanimously voted to remove him from the board and pursue criminal charges. We've also discussed your situation at length. He paused, and Noah felt Selena's hand tighten in his. While we don't condone deception, we recognize that you were operating under extreme duress. Mr. Ashford's pattern of harassment and manipulation created an untenable situation. Hope flickered in Selena's eyes. Therefore, Pemberton continued, by a vote of 12-3, this board has decided to retain you as CEO of Hart Industries. However, you'll be required to work with an independent ethics consultant for the next 6 months and participate in regular board reviews. Selena's breath came out in a rush. Thank you. Thank you all. I won't let you down. See that you don't, Patricia Whitmore said, but her tone was almost fond. And Mr. Carter, you're welcome at company events anytime. We could use more people willing to speak uncomfortable truths. The meeting adjourned, board members filing out with murmured congratulations and warnings. Soon it was just Noah and Selena in the conference room, Victoria watching from the doorway with a knowing smile before she too departed. We won, Selena said, sounding dazed. We actually won. You won, Noah corrected. I just stood there and gave a speech. You did more than that. You reminded me why I was fighting in the first place. Selena turned to face him fully. Noah, I don't know what happens next. I don't know how to make this work between us, but I want to try, really try. Not as a transaction or an arrangement, but as two people who actually care about each other. Noah thought about Lily, about his uncertain job prospects, about all the practical reasons this was a terrible idea. Then he thought about Selena on the swings, laughing without fear, about her hand in his through every storm. I want to try too, he said, but we need to be realistic. Your world and mine are still really different. People are still going to judge us. It's going to be hard. Everything worth having is hard, Selena said. And you're worth it, Noah Carter. You and Lily both. Then let's do this right, Noah said. No more secrets, no more arrangements, just two people figuring it out as they go. Deal, Selena said, and kissed him there in the empty boardroom, sealing a promise that was infinitely more real than the one that had started in a supermarket 6 days ago. The media storm that followed the board meeting was unlike anything Noah had ever experienced. By the time he and Selena left Hard Industries through the back entrance, news outlets had already picked up the story. Not the version Richard had crafted, but the truth. Embezzlement, bribery, a CEO who'd stood in front of her board and confessed to hiring a fake boyfriend out of desperation. Marcus drove them back to Noah's apartment in silence, both of them too drained to speak. When they pulled up outside the building, Selena made no move to leave the car. I should go in with you, she said. The press is going to descend on this neighborhood. You and Lily are going to need protection. We've survived worse than reporters, Noah said, though he wasn't entirely sure that was true. Besides, Lily's at school for another 3 hours. We've got time to figure this out. Noah, this isn't going to blow over in 3 hours. This is going to be the story for weeks, maybe months. Your life as you know it is about to change completely. Selena's voice was tight with guilt. I did this to you. I pulled you into my world, and now you're going to pay the price. Noah reached across the seat and took her hand. Stop. We made choices together, both of us. Yeah, it started with you grabbing my hand in a supermarket, but I could have walked away at any point. I didn't. That's on me as much as you. But Lily is going to be fine, Noah interrupted firmly. Kids are resilient. We'll talk to her tonight, explain what's happening in terms she can understand, and we'll get through it. Together. That's what we agreed to, remember? No more secrets, no more carrying everything alone. Selena nodded, wiping at her eyes. I'm not used to this. Having someone to share the weight with. My instinct is still to push you away and handle it myself. I know, but we're working on new instincts. Noah squeezed her hand. Come on, let's go inside before the neighbors start charging admission to watch us sit in this car. They climbed out and headed toward the apartment building. Mrs. Chen was sweeping her front step and looked up as they approached. Her expression was carefully neutral, which told Noah she'd definitely seen the news. Mrs. Chen, Noah said. This is Selena Hart. Selena, this is my neighbor Mrs. Chen. She's been helping me with Lily. Mrs. Chen studied Selena with the kind of thorough assessment only elderly Chinese women could pull off. Then she nodded once, apparently satisfied. You're the one who got my Noah fired, she said. Yes, Selena admitted, clearly thrown by the direct accusation. I'm sorry. I never meant for that to happen. But it did happen. And now reporters are calling my phone asking about Noah's character, asking if he's a good father, if he's the kind of man who would sell himself for money. Mrs. Chen's eyes were sharp. I told them Noah Carter is the best man on this block, that he works himself to death to take care of his daughter, that any woman would be lucky to have him, rich or poor. Selena's throat worked. Thank you. I didn't do it for you. I did it for him. Mrs. Chen turned back to Noah. But I will say this, you look happier than I've seen you in 5 years. Less tired, like maybe you're not carrying the whole world by yourself anymore. So if she's part of that, then I suppose I can tolerate the news vans. Noah felt his chest tighten with affection for this woman who'd been more family to him than his actual relatives. Thank you, Mrs. Chen, for everything. Don't thank me yet. Wait until you see your apartment. Someone left groceries outside your door, expensive groceries. I put them in your refrigerator so they wouldn't spoil. Noah looked at Selena, who had the grace to look slightly embarrassed. I may have called ahead and had some things delivered. You've been so focused on the board meeting that I doubt you've eaten properly in 2 days. Selena, you can't just, I can and I did. It's groceries, Noah, not a sports car. Let me do this one thing without turning it into a referendum on our class differences. Mrs. Chen made a small approving sound. I like her. She's bossy. You need bossy. Noah gave up arguing and led Selena upstairs. The apartment looked even smaller with her in it. her expensive clothes and polished bearing making the worn furniture and faded walls seem even more threadbare. But Selena didn't seem to notice. She was looking at the photos on the walls. Noah and Lily at the park. Lily's school pictures, the drawing Lily had made of them as stick figures that Noah had framed like it was a masterpiece. "This is your life," Selena said softly, touching the frame. "The real one, not the borrowed tuxedo version. Yeah, this is it." Noah watched her move through his space, cataloging his reality. "Still want to try making this work?" Selena turned to face him. "More than ever. This apartment, these photos, the way Mrs. Chen looks at you like you're her own son, this is what I've been missing. Connection. Community. People who care about each other for reasons that have nothing to do with money or status." She crossed to him. "I have a big house in the city and a bigger one in the Hamptons. They're beautiful and empty, and I hate being in them alone. This tiny apartment has more warmth than both of them combined." "That's probably just the broken radiator. It runs hot." Selena laughed and pulled him into a kiss that was soft and real and tasted like hope. When they pulled apart, Noah's phone was buzzing. He checked it and grimaced. "Lily's school. Probably saw the news and want to make sure I'm still alive." But when he answered, the voice on the other end belonged to the principal, Mrs. Davidson, and she sounded stressed. "Mr. Carter, I'm calling because we've had several reporters show up at the school trying to get photos of Lily. We've kept them off campus, but I wanted to make you aware. We're also getting calls from parents asking if Lily will still be attending here given the media attention." Noah's blood went cold. "Are you asking me to pull my daughter out of school?" "No, of course not. But I wanted to discuss how we're going to handle this situation going forward. Lily's safety and the other students' well-being are my primary concerns." "I'll be there in 20 minutes, Noah said. "Don't let anyone near her until I arrive." He hung up and turned to find Selena already grabbing her purse. "I'm coming with you." "Selena, that's just going to make it worse. If you show up at Lily's school, then we establish right now that I'm part of your life, part of Lily's life, that I'm not hiding or running from this." Selena's expression was fierce. "Besides, I have experience dealing with predatory media. You don't. Let me help." They took Selena's car, a sleek sedan that Marcus had delivered while they were inside. The drive to Lily's elementary school took 15 minutes through afternoon traffic, and when they arrived, there were indeed 3 news vans parked across the street. Cameras swiveled toward them as they pulled into the parking lot. "Ignore them," Selena said calmly. "Don't answer questions, don't acknowledge they exist, just walk straight to the office." They made it inside without incident, though Noah could hear reporters shouting questions behind them. The school office was cramped and smelled like old carpet and copy toner. Mrs. Davidson, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and prematurely gray hair, looked up from her desk with visible relief. "Mr. Carter, thank you for coming so quickly, and you must be Miss Hart." "I am. I'm sorry this situation has created problems for your school." "It's not your fault." "Well, I suppose it is partially, but that's not why I asked Mr. Carter to come in." Mrs. Davidson gestured to chairs. "Lily is in the library with her teacher right now. She's fine, though she's aware something unusual is happening. The other children have been asking questions." "What kind of questions?" Noah asked, his protective instincts firing. "Mostly about whether her dad is famous now, whether she's rich. 7-year-olds don't have much filter." Mrs. Davidson folded her hands on her desk. "More concerning are the parents. I've had 6 calls this afternoon asking if we're going to allow media disruption to affect the learning environment. One parent threatened to pull their child out if we don't do something about the situation." Noah felt anger building in his chest. "Lily hasn't done anything wrong. I haven't done anything wrong. We're the victims of media attention, not the cause." "I know that, Mr. Carter, and I want to be clear. Lily is welcome here for as long as you want her to attend. But we need to establish some ground rules about media access and how to protect all our students while this plays out." They spent 20 minutes working out a plan. No reporters on campus. Parents would be notified about the situation and asked to discuss it with their children in age-appropriate ways. The school would arrange for Lily to leave through a back entrance for the next few weeks until things settled down. When they finally went to collect Lily from the library, Noah's heart was hammering. He didn't know what to expect. A scared child, a confused child, maybe even one who was angry about the sudden attention. What he found was Lily sitting cross-legged on a reading rug, explaining to 3 other children why her dad was on TV. He helped someone who needed help, she was saying with the absolute certainty of childhood. Her mean ex-husband was being mean to her, so my dad pretended to be her boyfriend so the mean man would leave her alone. And then they became real friends, and now everyone wants to know about it because she's famous. Is your dad famous too? A boy asked. No, he just works at a warehouse. But Selena says that's important too because someone has to make sure things get to the right places. Who's Selena? The lady he helped. She's really nice. She taught me how to swing higher. Noah felt his throat close up. Selena's hand found his, squeezing tight. Lily, he called softly. She looked up and her face lit up. Daddy, did you come because of the cameras? Emma's mom said there are cameras outside because you're in trouble, but I told her you're not in trouble. You just helped someone. Noah knelt down and pulled her into a hug. That's right, baby girl. I'm not in trouble. But there are some things we need to talk about, okay? Grown-up things that are a little complicated, okay? Then Lily spotted Selena standing behind Noah, and her smile got even bigger. Selena, you're here. Did you come to see my school? I did, Selena said, crouching down to Lily's level. Your dad told me you have a really good library. We do. Mrs. Patterson lets us check out 3 books at a time. Do you want to see my favorites? They spent 10 minutes in the library while Lily showed Selena her favorite section, the animal books, and explained in great detail why penguins were the best animal. Mrs. Davidson watched from the doorway with a small smile, and Noah could see her reassessing her concerns. It was one thing to hear about a CEO dating a warehouse worker. It was another to watch that CEO listen to a 7-year-old's passionate defense of penguins with complete attention and genuine interest. Finally, they collected Lily's backpack and headed for the back entrance Mrs. Davidson had mentioned. As promised, it led to a side parking lot away from the media vans. But as they reached Selena's car, a reporter appeared around the corner, a young woman with a camera and the desperate look of someone chasing a career-making story. Mr. Carter, Miss Hart, just one question. No, Noah said firmly, positioning himself between the reporter and Lily. Please, I just want to know if the relationship is real, if you actually care about each other, or if this is still just a transaction. Selena stopped. Noah tried to pull her toward the car, but she gently extracted her hand and turned to face the reporter. You want to know if it's real? Selena asked quietly. 6 days ago, I was terrified and alone and convinced I had to handle everything by myself. I grabbed a stranger's hand because I didn't know what else to do. That stranger could have walked away, could have taken my money and given me exactly what I paid for, a performance. Nothing more. She glanced at Noah, and her expression softened completely. Instead, he gave me something I couldn't buy, Selena continued. He gave me honesty. He stood up to my ex-husband when he didn't have to. He defended me to my board of directors even though it cost him everything. He introduced me to his daughter and let me into his real life, not the version people perform for cameras. Her voice grew stronger. So, yes, it started as a transaction, but it became real the moment he chose to stay when he could have left. It became real when I realized I cared more about his opinion than my reputation. It became real when his 7-year-old daughter taught me how to swing, and I felt more at peace than I have in years. The reporter was frantically scribbling notes. So you're confirming the relationship is authentic now? I'm confirming that what Noah and I have is none of your business, Selena said. But since you're going to write about it anyway, get it right. We're 2 people who found each other in impossible circumstances and decided we were worth fighting for. If that's not real, I don't know what is. She turned away and walked to the car, leaving the reporter standing there with her mouth open. Noah bundled Lily into the back seat and climbed in beside Selena. That was either brilliant or insane, he said as Marcus pulled out of the parking lot. Definitely insane, Selena agreed, but I'm tired of letting other people control the narrative. Time we started telling our own story. Lily piped up from the back seat. Daddy, what's a narrative? It's the story people tell about what happened, Noah explained. Oh, like how I tell Emma about feeding the ducks, but I make it more exciting than it really was. Exactly like that, baby girl. They drove back to Noah's apartment, and this time when they arrived, there were twice as many reporters. Marcus had to honk his way through the crowd, and even then, cameras pressed against the windows as they got out. "This is insane," Noah muttered. "How long does this last?" "Depends on how we handle it," Selena said. She pulled out her phone and made a call. "Vanessa, I need you to organize a press conference for tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Hart Industries lobby." "Yes, I'm sure. No, not just me. Noah, too. We're going to give them what they want, and then we're done talking about it." She hung up and looked at Noah. "You don't have to do this. I can handle the press conference alone." "We're in this together, remember?" Noah hoisted Lily onto his hip. "Besides, if we're going to tell our story, we should tell it right. Both of us." Mrs. Chen appeared in her doorway as they approached, her expression concerned. "Noah, there's been reporters knocking on doors all afternoon. I told them if they knock on mine again, I'm calling the police." "Thank you, Mrs. Chen. I'm sorry about all this." "Stop apologizing. You didn't create this mess." She looked at Selena. "You did. So what are you going to do to fix it?" "We're holding a press conference tomorrow," Selena said. "After that, hopefully things will settle down." We'll see." Mrs. Chen studied them both. "In the meantime, I made extra dumplings. You three should eat something. Can't fight battles on an empty stomach." She disappeared into her apartment and returned with a container of homemade dumplings that smelled like heaven. Selena accepted them with visible emotion. "Thank you," she said softly, "for taking care of them, for not judging me too harshly." "I judge you plenty," Mrs. Chen said, "but you're here. You showed up at his daughter's school. You're eating dumplings in a hallway instead of hiding in your fancy house. That counts for something." They went inside and ate dumplings on the worn couch while Lily colored at the coffee table. It should have felt surreal, a billionaire CEO eating takeout in a cramped apartment while reporters shouted questions outside. But somehow it felt normal. "Right." "Daddy?" Lily said without looking up from her drawing. "Are you and Selena boyfriend and girlfriend now?" Noah and Selena exchanged glances. They'd been avoiding that exact definition, dancing around the edges of what they were to each other. "Yes," Selena said before Noah could overthink it. "If that's okay with you." Lily considered this seriously. Her crayon paused mid-stroke. "Will you come to this park with us on Sundays?" "Every Sunday I can," Selena promised. "And will you teach me more about swinging?" "Absolutely." "Okay then." Lily went back to coloring. "You can be Daddy's girlfriend, but only if you promise to be nice to him. He's the best daddy in the world, and he deserves someone nice." "I promise," Selena said, her voice thick. "I'll be as nice as I can be." "Good." Lily held up her drawing. "Look, I drew us feeding ducks." "That's you, and that's Daddy, and that's me, and those are the ducks. The green one is the bossy one." The drawing was stick figures and scribbles and absolutely perfect. Selena took it like it was a priceless work of art. "Can I keep this?" she asked. "Sure, I can make more." Lily yawned. "Daddy, I'm tired. Can I watch a show?" Noah set her up with a cartoon, and he and Selena moved to the kitchen area, speaking in low voices while Lily giggled at whatever was on screen. "Tomorrow's press conference," Noah said. "What are we actually going to say? The truth? How we met? Why I asked you to help? What it became?" Selena leaned against the counter. "And then we're going to ask them politely but firmly to leave us alone so we can figure out what this relationship actually is without the entire world watching." "You think they'll listen?" "Probably not. But at least we'll have gone on record." Selena reached for his hand. "Noah, there's something else we need to talk about. Your job. You can't go back to the warehouse, and I can't just hand you a position at Hart Industries without it looking like exactly what Richard accused you of being, someone I'm keeping around for personal reasons." "I wasn't going to ask you for a job." "I know, but you need work, and I have connections. I can make calls, set up interviews at companies that aren't mine, places where you'd be hired on your own merit, not because of our relationship." Noah bristled slightly. "I can find my own job." "I know you can, but why make it harder than it has to be? This isn't charity, Noah. This is networking. It's how everyone in my world finds work, through connections and recommendations. Let me help you the same way Patricia Whitmore helps her nephew, or Douglas Pemberton helps his college roommate's son." It still felt like charity, like being dependent on Selena's world to survive in his own. But Noah was practical enough to recognize when pride was getting in the way of reality. "Okay," he said, "but nothing at Hart Industries. and nothing that looks like a made-up position just to keep your boyfriend employed. Deal, Selena smiled. Your boyfriend. I like the sound of that. Yeah, well, try not to let it go to your head. They spent the evening in domestic normalcy that felt bizarre given the circumstances. Selena helped Lily with homework while Noah made dinner. Spaghetti with jarred sauce, about as far from Selena's usual cuisine as possible. But she ate it without complaint, praised Lily's math skills, and did the dishes while Noah put Lily to bed. When he came back out, Selena was standing at the window looking out at the reporters still camped below. They're going to be there all night, she said. I should probably go. Let you and Lily get some peace. Or you could stay, Noah said. I mean, not like that. I'll take the couch. But it's late, and driving through that mess seems unnecessary when there's a perfectly good bedroom you could use. Noah, I can't take Lily's room. She can sleep with me. She does it half the time anyway when she has nightmares. Noah moved to stand beside Selena. Stay. Please, I don't want you driving back to an empty house after the day we've had. Selena looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, but I'm taking the couch. That's non-negotiable. They argued about it for another 10 minutes before compromising. They'd both sleep on the pull-out couch, which was barely big enough for 2 people, but would work for one night. It felt impossibly intimate and completely chaste at the same time, lying there in the dark apartment with Lily asleep down the hall and reporters camped outside. Noah? Selena whispered. Are we crazy for trying to make this work? Absolutely, Noah whispered back. But I'd rather be crazy with you than sane and alone. Selena's hand found his under the blanket, fingers intertwining. 6 months from now, where do you think we'll be? Noah thought about it. About Lily, about his uncertain job prospects, about Selena's world and his, and the impossible distance between them. Honestly, I have no idea. Maybe we'll figure out how to bridge our worlds. Maybe we'll crash and burn, but I think we'll be together, whatever that looks like. He squeezed her hand. You? I think, Selena said slowly, that 6 months from now I'll be different than I am today. Less afraid, less alone, more myself than I've been in years. Because of you, because of Lily, because you make me want to be brave enough to have something real. They fell asleep like that, hands clasped, breathing synchronized, while outside the media circus continued to rage. The next morning arrived too early and too loud. Reporters had multiplied overnight, their voices carrying through the thin walls. Noah woke to find Selena already up, on the phone with her assistant, orchestrating logistics for the press conference. Hair and makeup will meet us at the office, she was saying. Yes, both of us. I don't care if Noah doesn't want makeup. At least get him someone to fix his hair so the camera lights don't wash him out. I can hear you, Noah called from the kitchen where he was making coffee. Good. Then you can stop arguing about the makeup artist. Lily emerged from Noah's bedroom, rubbing sleep from her eyes. Why is everyone yelling outside? Those are reporters, baby girl. They want to talk to Daddy and Selena about being boyfriend and girlfriend. That's silly. Why does everyone care so much? Because sometimes grown-ups make things more complicated than they need to be. Noah poured himself coffee and made Lily her usual breakfast. Mrs. Chen is going to take you to school today through the back way, so you don't have to walk through all those people. Can Selena come to school with me again? Not today. We have to go talk to the reporters, so hopefully they'll leave us alone after. Lily accepted this with the easy resilience of childhood. By the time Mrs. Chen knocked on the door at 8 a.m., Lily had eaten breakfast, gotten dressed, and drawn another picture. This one of Noah and Selena holding hands with hearts around them. For good luck, she said, handing it to Selena. So the reporters will be nice. Selena hugged her tight. Thank you, sweetheart. I'll keep it with me. Mrs. Chen gave them both stern looks. You two better fix this today. I'm too old to have reporters camping on my doorstep indefinitely. We'll do our best, Noah promised. Marcus arrived at 8:30 to drive them to Hart Industries. The press conference was set for 10, which gave them 90 minutes to prepare. Selena spent the drive reviewing talking points with Noah, coaching him on how to handle hostile questions. If they ask about the money, be honest, she said. Yes, you were paid. Yes, it started as a transaction, but don't apologize for being desperate enough to accept help when it was offered. What if they ask about Lily? Then you tell them she's off limits. that she's a child who deserves privacy, and you won't discuss her beyond confirming she exists, and you're a single father. They arrived at Hart Industries to find the lobby transformed into a press conference venue. Podium, microphones, rows of chairs filled with reporters. Vanessa met them at the door with coffee and a tablet full of prepared statements. "The makeup team is waiting in your office," she told Selena. "You have 45 minutes. I've vetted the press list, mostly business journalists, a few lifestyle writers, and unfortunately 3 tabloid reporters who wouldn't take no for an answer." Upstairs, the makeup artist was a miracle worker who made Noah look significantly more put together than he felt. Someone found him a suit that actually fit, and when he looked in the mirror, he barely recognized himself. "You look good," Selena said, appearing beside him in a navy dress that was professional and powerful without being intimidating. "Ready to face the wolves?" "Not even a little bit," Noah admitted. "But let's do it anyway." They walked down to the lobby together at exactly 10 a.m. The crowd of reporters erupted in questions before they even reached the podium. Selena held up a hand and the noise gradually settled. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her CEO voice cutting through the remaining murmur. "I know there's been a lot of speculation about my relationship with Noah Carter over the past week. We're here today to set the record straight, after which we expect our privacy to be respected." She laid out the facts calmly and clearly. The supermarket encounter, the arrangement, the money. The way it had evolved from transaction to something real. Noah stood beside her, jumping in occasionally to add his perspective, to confirm her version of events. "So you admit you paid him for sex?" one tabloid reporter shouted. "I paid him for his time and company," Selena corrected coldly. "Nothing more. And frankly, that's an insulting question that reduces a complex situation to a cheap headline." "Mr. Carter, are you still being paid to stand beside Miss Hart right now?" "No," Noah said firmly. "I'm here because I choose to be. Because Selena and I have built something real, and we're tired of letting other people define what that is." The questions came rapid fire for 20 minutes. Some hostile, some genuinely curious, all invasive. But Noah and Selena stood together and answered them honestly, refusing to hide or deflect. Finally, Selena held up her hand again. "That's all the questions we're taking today. Noah and I are going to continue building our relationship away from cameras and speculation. We ask that you respect our privacy, and more importantly, the privacy of Noah's daughter, who is a child and deserves to stay out of this circus. Thank you." They left the podium to a new eruption of shouted questions, but Vanessa and security escorted them out quickly. Back in Selena's office, they collapsed onto the couch, exhausted. "How bad was it?" Noah asked. "Could have been worse," Selena said. "At least we controlled the narrative this time." Her phone buzzed with a text. "My mother. She says we did well." Coming from Victoria Hart, that's practically a standing ovation. Over the next few days, the media frenzy gradually died down. The story shifted from scandal to human interest piece. Several major outlets ran sympathetic profiles about single fathers and the pressures of modern dating. A few feminist writers penned pieces about women being allowed to be desperate and scared without losing their professional credibility. Richard Ashford was arrested on embezzlement charges. The investigation revealed he'd stolen over $4 million from Hart Industries over 3 years. He faced criminal prosecution and civil lawsuits that would likely bankrupt him. Noah felt no satisfaction in his downfall, just relief that Selena was finally free of his manipulation. True to her word, Selena made calls about Noah's employment situation. Within a week, he had 3 job interviews lined up at logistics companies that had never heard of Hart Industries. He accepted a position as a warehouse supervisor at a mid-sized firm, better pay than Patterson, better hours, and management opportunities if he wanted them. "I got the job on my own merit," he told Selena when he shared the news. "They didn't even know about you until the final interview, and by then they'd already decided to hire me." "I never doubted you would," Selena said. "You're good at what you do, Noah. You don't need my connections. But I'm glad they helped get your foot in the door." They settled into a rhythm over the following weeks. Selena would come to the park on Sundays to feed ducks with Lily. Noah would occasionally attend Hart Industries events when Selena needed a date who would tell her the truth instead of what she wanted to hear. Lily started calling Selena by her name instead of Daddy's friend, and the transition felt natural rather than forced. The first time Selena stayed over on a Friday night, actually stayed in Noah's bed, with Lily aware that Selena was there in the morning, felt like crossing a threshold. They'd talked about it extensively, making sure Lily understood and was comfortable with the change. "So Selena is going to be here when I wake up?" Lily had asked. "If that's okay with you," Noah said. "Will she make breakfast?" "I can make breakfast," Selena offered. "What do you like?" "Pancakes, but not the box kind, the real kind from scratch." "I can do that," Selena said, and the next morning she did, producing pancakes that were better than anything Noah had ever made. 2 months after the board meeting, Selena asked Noah and Lily to have dinner at her house in the city. Lily was wide-eyed at the size of it, the marble floors and high ceilings and artwork that probably cost more than Noah's car. "It's really big," Lily said tactfully. "It is," Selena agreed. "Too big for one person. That's why I wanted to talk to you both about something." She led them to the kitchen, a massive space with professional appliances and an island bigger than Noah's entire kitchen. She'd clearly been cooking, which was new. Selena had confessed early in their relationship that she usually ordered in or ate at restaurants. "I've been thinking," Selena said as she pulled a casserole from the oven, "about what I want my life to look like going forward. And I realized that this house, beautiful as it is, doesn't feel like home. It feels like a museum I happen to sleep in." "So sell it," Noah said, sampling the casserole and being impressed despite himself. "Get something smaller." "I was thinking something different." Selena set down her oven mitts and looked at them both. "What if instead of me having a big empty house and you having a small crowded apartment, we found something in between, a place that could be home for all three of us?" Noah's heart stuttered. "Selena, are you asking?" "I'm asking if you and Lily would consider moving in with me. Not here. Somewhere new that we choose together. Somewhere that's ours. Not mine or yours, but genuinely ours." Lily gasped. "Like a real family?" "Like a real family," Selena confirmed, and Noah could hear the vulnerability in her voice. "If you want that, if it's not too fast or too much or too—" "Yes," Noah interrupted. "Yes, we want that." "Really? You're sure? Because I know this is a big step, and we've only been officially together for 2 months, and there's a lot to figure out in terms of logistics and—" Noah kissed her, cutting off the anxious rambling. When he pulled back, Selena was smiling through tears. "Yes," he said again, "we're sure." "Lily? Can I have a bigger room?" Lily asked seriously, "with space for all my animal books?" "You can have the biggest room in the house if you want," Selena said. "We'll find a place with a huge bedroom just for you." They spent the rest of dinner talking about what kind of house they wanted. Not too big, they agreed, somewhere between Noah's apartment and Selena's mansion. A yard for Lily to play in, close to good schools, near a park with ducks. 3 weeks later they found it, a 4-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood that was nice without being ostentatious. It had a backyard with a swing set and a kitchen big enough for all of them to cook together. The previous owners had left behind a duck-shaped mailbox that Lily declared was destiny. Moving day was chaos. Mrs. Chen supervised while pretending not to cry about Noah leaving. Marcus helped carry boxes. Victoria Hart showed up with expensive housewarming gifts and subtle approval. Lily ran through the empty rooms claiming her space and planning where every stuffed animal would go. That night, after Lily was asleep in her new room and the boxes were mostly unpacked, Noah and Selena stood in their backyard looking at stars they couldn't see in the city. "Are you happy?" Selena asked quietly. "Terrified," Noah admitted. "This is so far outside my comfort zone that I can't even see my comfort zone anymore. But yeah, I'm happy. You?" "Same. Terrified and happy in equal measure." Selena leaned into him. 6 months ago, if someone had told me I'd be standing in a suburban backyard with a warehouse supervisor and his daughter planning to build a life together, I would have laughed. It's not the life I imagined for myself. Is that bad? "It's perfect," Selena said. "It's real and messy and completely imperfect, and it's the best thing I've ever had." They stood there in the darkness, holding each other, while inside the house Lily slept peacefully in her new room, surrounded by her books and her stuffed animals, and the security of knowing she was loved. 6 months later, Noah woke on a Saturday morning to the smell of pancakes, the real kind, from scratch, and the sound of Lily and Selena laughing in the kitchen. He patted downstairs to find them covered in flour, attempting to make shapes beyond regular circles. "Daddy, Selena's teaching me how to make duck pancakes. Look." The pancake looked more like a blob than a duck, but Noah praised it enthusiastically anyway. "How's the new position?" Selena asked as Noah poured himself coffee. "Good. The team is responding well. My boss said I'm on track for regional manager if I want it." Noah had been promoted twice since starting his job, his work ethic and leadership skills finally being recognized in an environment that valued them. "That's amazing!" Selena flipped a pancake that actually did look like a duck. "We should celebrate." "Can we go to the park and feed the real ducks?" Lily asked. "It's Sunday." "Of course," Selena said. "It's tradition." They spent the morning at Henderson Park, the same place where Selena had met Lily for the first time. The bossy green-headed duck was still there, still demanding the biggest pieces of bread. Other families were there too, and a few recognized Selena from the news coverage that had finally died down. But mostly they were just another family feeding ducks on a Sunday morning. "I got an email from Richard's lawyer," Selena mentioned as they walked back to the car. "He's pleading guilty to the embezzlement charges, accepting a plea deal that includes restitution and 5 years in prison." "How do you feel about that?" Noah asked. "Relieved. It's finally over. He can't hurt me anymore. Can't manipulate or threaten or control." She took Noah's hand. "For the first time in years, I feel free." That afternoon, while Lily was at a birthday party, Noah and Selena drove to the old discount supermarket where everything had started. They walked through the sliding doors and down the dairy aisle, retracing the steps that had changed both their lives. "I stood right here," Selena said, stopping in front of the milk section, completely terrified and out of options. "And I was right here," Noah said, indicating a spot 3 feet away. 32 cents short for milk and convinced my life couldn't get any harder. "We were both wrong," Selena said, "about so many things." "Yeah, but we were right about one thing." Noah pulled her close. "That sometimes desperate choices made in grocery store aisles can lead to something beautiful." They kissed there in the dairy aisle while shoppers pushed carts past them and fluorescent lights hummed overhead, right where it had all begun. A year after that first encounter, Noah proposed. Not with an expensive ring or an elaborate plan, but with a simple question asked in their backyard while Lily played on the swings Selena had insisted they install. "I know we've already built a life together," Noah said, "and I know you don't need a piece of paper to prove we're committed. But I want to marry you anyway. Not because it changes anything, but because I want to stand in front of everyone we know and choose you publicly the same way I choose you privately every single day." Selena said yes through tears, and Lily cheered from the swing set, shouting that she got to be a flower girl. They got married 6 months later in a small ceremony that blended both their worlds. The warehouse crew from Noah's job sat beside Hart Industries board members. Mrs. Chen sat in the front row next to Victoria Hart. Lily walked down the aisle, scattering flower petals with enthusiastic abandon. And when the officiant asked if they took each other as partners for life, both Noah and Selena answered without hesitation. "I do." The reception was held in the backyard of their house, catered but casual, expensive wine served alongside cheap beer, string lights, and paper lanterns creating magic from the ordinary. Noah's coworkers traded stories with Selena's executives. Patricia Whitmore discussed investment strategies with Marcus. Victoria Hart taught Lily how to dance properly, then abandoned proper form to teach her silly moves instead. Late in the evening, as the party wound down and guests began to leave, Noah found Selena standing alone near the duck-shaped mailbox, looking at their house lit up from within. "What are you thinking?" he asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. "That 1.5 years ago, I was standing in a grocery store about to lose everything," she said, "and now I have everything that actually matters. A home, a family, someone who sees me and chooses me anyway. It's not the life I planned, it's better." "Because of the duck mailbox?" Noah teased. "Definitely because of the duck mailbox." Selena turned in his arms. "I love you, Noah Carter. I love your terrible jokes and your protective instincts and the way you make me want to be brave. I love how you look at Lily like she hung the moon. I love that you grabbed my hand back in that supermarket, even though you had every reason not to." "I love you too," Noah said. "I love that you make pancakes from scratch now and that you know all the ducks at Henderson Park by name. I love that you helped Lily with her science project even though you run a billion-dollar company." I love that you chose to build a life here instead of in some mansion that impressed people but made you lonely. Inside the house, Lily was dancing with Mrs. Chen, both of them laughing. Victoria Hart was having what looked like a serious conversation with Noah's boss. Marcus was teaching Vanessa how to swing dance. We built something impossible, Selena said softly. A warehouse worker and a CEO. A single dad and a billionaire. People said it wouldn't work. People say a lot of things, Noah said. Most of them are wrong. They stood there in their backyard holding each other while their combined worlds celebrated around them, while their daughter danced and their friends laughed and their future stretched ahead full of possibility. It had started with a desperate grab for a stranger's hand in a discount supermarket. It had started with a transaction, with money and fear, and the kind of choices people make when they're backed into corners. But it had become something neither of them could have predicted or planned. It had become love, messy and complicated and completely real. It had become family. It had become home. And as Noah held his wife in their backyard under stars they still couldn't quite see, he thought about that version of himself who'd stood in a grocery store aisle counting pennies and hoping for a miracle. He'd gotten one. Not the kind that solved all his problems instantly or made life easy, but the kind that mattered, the kind that gave him someone to share the weight with, someone who saw him completely and chose him anyway. Selena had grabbed his hand looking for a shield, for protection, for a way to reclaim power in a situation where she felt powerless. What she'd found instead was a partner. What they'd both found was each other. And 6 days had turned into forever.